Alright, guys, we are live with the Korean Invitational Day 2 here. Group B games are going on here, and we don't have the time to introduce ourselves, so I'll just quickly introduce. I'm Tirth, joining me is
feNix.
And we'll be casting this amazing game here, which is already live, and we see that the region is Freljord Ionia versus that Freljord and PNZ. So again, like Freljord and PNZ, I think that is the Israel combo variant, but we see that it does have Hammer Danger in there as well. Yeah. So quite an interesting turn here.
Okay, so as you can see, they are
static shock coming down.
Static shot coming down from Wolf side. Okay.
It's quite clean turn. What do you think about that defend from the 3-1 Adarsh?
I think that was nice.
Yeah, again, I think the deck just needs to survive through the early game to get towards that late game. Yeah. So like it can execute its own game plan. Again, we see that it is that Karma variant of control deck.
Yeah. So I think he won't be. So he's confused between whether to play this 3 mana 2/2 elusive or the 4 drop here. But I think he's going with elusive here.
So why do you think he played that? Like I think he would have been able to save 1 mana anyways, right? So why go for that elusive?
Just to, So just to push the extra damage, I think.
Could be. I guess he knows that. What do you think? Like who wins in this matchup in the late game? Like because Israel does have that burst damage, but
I'm pretty sure in the late game Karma will dominate the Hammerdinger. But Hammerdinger have enough resources to play the value game. So we can't say anything now, but I'm pretty sure Karma will be controlling, trying to control, while Hammerdinger will try to
push for damage.
Push for the damage using that elusives, 3/1 elusives and other cards.
Indeed, and we see the double progress day in the hands of the Freljord and PNZ player, right? So that's extremely solid as well.
So second static shock coming down. I don't think he will be denying that, but maybe that is worth here because that will give him a 4 drop as well.
Yeah,
not a 4 drop actually. 0 mana for 4 and 0 mana 4/1, I guess.
Yeah, it will basically allow him to push 4 more damage. I think that's worth in this case as well. So Wolf is playing that Freljord and PNZ deck, and against him is Frozen Winter on that Freljord and Ionia deck.
Yeah. So we can see the freeze coming here.
Honestly, I was okay.
He just wants that 3/1 elusives. Nothing else.
And he has 2 copies of them already in his hand, so that's decent enough as well.
But as we can see, double avalanche in the Frozen Winter's hand, so I'm pretty sure he will be able to tackle the elusives down.
Indeed. And the hand of Wolf is not that bad as well. Double progress in the hand will allow him to quite easily refill and meanwhile summon another threats as well.
So I think main issue for the Frozen Winter is to somehow deal with that Hammerdinger, or it will be such a pain for his game plan.
So what do you think about him just dropping the Karma? That don't you think double avalanche next turn is a decent play here?
Why would we want to double avalanche?
Just to clear off that Hammer, right? Like you mentioned, that Hammer is providing insane value.
Yep, agreed.
So if he had saved at least 1 mana gem, then he was able to cast those double avalanche.
So now big guy Wolf will be getting 8/8 here.
That's so strong. The T-Hex coming down is just insane in this turn. And I think that not using those double avalanche could cost him the game here, because
I don't think he can still deal with it. He have multiple AoE plus he have recall in the hand to deal with that 8/8.
Yeah, I think so. The recall has to come down here.
Yeah.
The elusives will probably
plus he is at 20 HP, so I don't think he needs to worry now.
But again, if the Israel comes down, then even if you are at 20 HP, it's I would still be scared at 20 HP, against that Israel. Maybe. So he's just looking to develop the board. Maybe he can easily block the 8/8 with the 2/1 as well. He can decide to buy some.
And then so he's only at 5 mana, so he can cast that 6 mana cost spell here. So, but he still have recall for that if needed.
Alright, freeze coming down on the 4 will prevent him from defending, I guess, but I don't know why he would do that instead of the elusive unit, right?
So 2 damage. Yeah. Freeze should be on that 2/2.
I mean, I guess he's fine just killing off that.
Yeah,
2/2,
he's fine, but I was not sure why. Matlab, that 4/1 was that 4/1 should not be like that valuable for him. So
yeah, and we see that he's just throwing it down against that 3/1. Just letting it die and ensure that it does not take any damage.
So we see the recall on 2/4 Hammerdinger here.
That's quite interesting as well. Like it's just gonna come down next turn, right?
But it will cost him 5 mana, so he just wants to slow down the game plan of Wolf here.
Yeah, I guess it makes sense because it will prevent him from casting that second progress day as well.
Maybe I think game plan of Frozen Winter is to just enlighten his karma, because I don't think he will be attacking or defending with his karma yet.
Yeah,
so,
for sure. That karma
just to save the karma.
Yeah, karma will probably be staying on the bench here.
Yeah. Plus, and in that case, neither Wolf will also not be able to kill that karma off, and after the enlightenment, karma will be like carrying the Frozen Winter.
Yeah, but we do see that the Thermo Beam is in the hands of Wolf. So if it does decide, it can come down and to kill off that karma at because it just requires 3 HP right now, and even 1 HP.
Yeah,
1
just
HP
Frozen Beam. Actually, I missed that beam spell.
Yeah, and now he even has the option to just Mystic Shot it down.
Agreed.
But we do see the twin disciplines in the hand of Frozen Winter, so he can easily quite defend against that Mystic Shot. But still, the beam will not be able to kill it off after that.
So now Frozen Winter is confused whether to pass or whether to play for his 4-drop. Okay, so he just passed here.
He's just saving mana for twin disciplines, and that's a really good read,
in case if needed.
Yeah, so he knows that his opponent runs those Mystic Shots or the Thermo Beam, so he's just saving up the mana to buff it out.
Yeah, I think. Okay, so so that worked for him quite well.
Indeed, a really good read from him, Frozen Winter here.
So next turn, okay, so his karma still needs like 2 turns to get enlightened.
And we see him hovering over that 9 mana.
He's too desperate to get his karma enlightened.
He's waiting for that enlightened karma there.
But he will be taking too much damage next round.
I mean, he does have that flash freeze, to stop that T-Hex from connecting,
but just a T-Hex. He will still be taking like 3+2 here.
Now he can even sacrifice that karma because he does have that second karma in hand if he so decides. But I think it's better to just keep that spell to refill after the karma is enlightened.
So he's just checking out whether how much spells Israel needs to be like
online. And we see that that's only 2 spells left with the Harshwinds in hand. That's basically the completion for Israel. But again, we see that Israel is not in the hands of Wolf, so he's just looking to draw into it, right?
So Wolf is just going like open attack here because he knows that the Frozen Winter won't be defending with his karma, so he just want to push the damage here. But I think he's just having second thoughts on the situation here. Okay.
Just using the get excited to kill it. Now there is no way for him to deal with this get excited here. But again, he does have that second karma, so it will probably come down.
Yeah. So I think he will be setting up his karma this turn then in that case.
Indeed, but we do see that Thermo Beam can come down after the second karma is played. So it's we see here, he's trying to bait it out before.
Yeah.
By playing this element.
He have still not yet played it, so he's still confused whether to use the double avalanche here or set up the karma after that 4-drop.
Indeed, and we see it is indeed that Alnuk play here.
So he's still worried whether to play karma here or not, because he knows that he have to read off the beam here, so that's why he's going with like a launch. But then he's again having second thoughts.
Again, I mean, if you play that avalanche right now, then you will not be able to develop that karma this turn, which I think you kind of need to, right?
No, but it's still fine, right? Because next turn he can just drop the karma and use the second copy of avalanche to.
That will also clear up the karma as well. So that's
scary, but he is desperate. So yeah.
Indeed, like right now the age is definitely in the wolf's hand here. We see his hand is just filled with basically every answer that he might need in the upcoming turns.
Also, actually, we can see that Frozen Winter don't have enough freezes or the AoE freezes just to defend against this current board. So now the beam is out. Maybe his karma is like quite free, but to play. But again, he don't have enough minions to counter to block against these followers.
He can only block one minion here. The 8 to
So
being
he
blocked.
will still be taking like 5 plus.
That's 15
9.
damage, I believe.
No, 14 actually.
I have no idea how many that was, but that's a lot of damage.
Yeah, 14. So yeah. So now he can use that karma. Okay, so he don't even need 2 karma here. He can just avalanche here. He can
so
play.
Good for Frozen Winter here. Progressively coming down will give him another T-Hex to refill after this board gets cleared. So that's really good for from Wolf as well.
Yeah. So, but he don't have enough mana. But he will still be setting his like 0 mana 9/9 here.
Indeed, and
the second copy of karma coming down from Frozen Winter here.
Indeed, but still no Israel from Wolf, so that's quite an issue for him. He just needs that Israel, and he can just spam off 2 burst spells to kill off Frozen Winter at 3 HP. But next turn he will be able to heal up to 6 at least with that Catalyst in the hand.
Yeah. And I'm pretty sure Frozen Winter will be quite scared of Israel because he can see that Wolf have like 7 cards in his hand, so he will be pretty scared of Israel next turn coming down.
Indeed. So next turn he has to play that Catalyst, I believe. The first, like instantly, right? We still see no Israel coming down. So first initiative is for Wolf, and once he sees that there is no Israel, his game plan can quite easily change.
Yeah, but still, Wolf will be just trying to top deck the Israel somehow, or just trying to like push some damage from Heimerdinger and set up his Heimerdinger and summon some more elusive units using that flash freeze, and like a lot of control available here. Yeah. Okay, so he's just trying to set up lethal here using the 2 mana spell and this static, but we can see Frozen Winter have like that 5 mana card which can heal him for 3.
And with Karma, that will be cast at twice, so that is at least 6 healing in the hands.
Yeah, that's 6 healing.
But again, he is not forced to use it. He can still Wolf is not threatening lethal right now, so he has the liberty to just pass, and that's what he does.
Yeah, but I'm pretty sure Wolf will be trying to set up lethal somehow this turn, and
which is the Mystic Shot is in hand as well. So like if he just goes all in this turn, then he might be able to do enough damage.
Yep. So he will be forced to defend against that 2/4 using his karma. Okay. So he's defending against that fearsome.
So just defending against the most amount of damage, and
so he's not valuing that 2/4 that much. He's valuing that damage more compared to Heimerdinger here.
Again, because he knows that the threat of Israel is real. He cannot afford to go any lower, especially since he does not have any healing in hand.
Indeed, but as we can see, Frozen Winter is not happy with his draws here.
Yeah, he is laughing, but behind that smile is sadness, I would say.
Actually, that's sarcasm.
Yeah.
Okay. He's quite like not happy with the result he's getting with his card draws. Okay, so it's summoning now 2 copies of Karma here.
Wow, with quick attack as well. So he's just trying to clear off as much board as possible. But we see those freezes coming down from... the Harsh Winds will be able to stop at least... wow, okay.
Okay, so this board... So... We can see Frozen Wolf have like 10 mana here, so he can only cast like 1 copy of Frozen Winter.
The copies are reduced though with that progress there, so he can cast 2 copies of
okay, no, he can cast 2.
Harsh Wind, so that's really good from... again, you can't expect that, like you
plus
don't know.
Plus he can defend with like last unit elusive, or maybe he won't because all the units are ephemeral here. So he will be just freezing all the stuff.
Yeah, but again, the first defense does make sense because that copy is not elusive, so it will just die for free. And I think that's just game. I don't see any way for him to come back.
So I think it's a GG.
It's all about that top deck, but I don't see. Okay, that's not enough because it's a slow spell, and that's game 1 for Wolf here. That PNZ Freljord deck, definitely coming out on top. That Heimer just went ham in that game, just no answer for him. Again, as we mentioned, he could have casted those double avalanche earlier to kill it off.
Yeah, to clear up the first copy of Heimerdinger, and in that case, Wolf haven't got enough value to like force so much AoE spells and removals from the Frozen Winter.
Indeed, and that's game 1. We will be back for game 2 soon. Make sure you guys stay tuned. We'll be right back. And we are live with game 2 here. We see the Shadow Isles coming down against that same Kurma and Anivia deck. Yeah.
So we were unable to see the mulligans actually, but we can see that turn 1 pass coming down from Wolf here.
Meanwhile, the opponent has really solid opening hand here. You know, those Mistfits will be able to get some decent damage through in this early game.
Yeah, because the 3 mana to Shadow Assassins won't be able to defend against those Mistfits here, and or the Elise here.
Those fearsome attacks on those units will prevent any unit with less than 3 power to defend against those. So some really strong opener coming down.
This is like 5 free damage coming down from Wolf side.
And he just decides to play that Catalyst, gaining 1 mana and healing back up to 18.
Yeah. No, I think he should just set up this 4-drop here.
Indeed, the Alnor coming down here will be able to defend against some of those Mistfits quite easily.
Or the Elise.
Or the Elise, yeah. But I don't think you just play Elise now, especially since it's
agreed.
Easily contested by that Alnor. He decides to pass here. What do you think about that? Why not just attack with that Alnor?
Because he can just counter it with his 3-2 or 1-1 and just buff it up with the 1 mana mark of dials.
Okay, so wow, look at this attack coming down here, just going all in.
He's just going all in. So he can just buff. I'm pretty sure he will be just using mark of dials here. Okay.
I think just glimpsing the Elise is fine here. You have Rekindler as a backup, you know, so I don't...
Yeah, that makes sense too.
Yeah, because like you don't really care about it surviving, and we see it denaming considered, but again he does pass up on that. What do you think about not playing the Skitterer first before this open attack? Do you think it could have been better in this situation?
Actually, he had only 1 Elnok, so I don't think playing Skitterer was like that good here.
I mean, it would push a lot of damage, right? Like all those spiders will be buffed.
Not enough, but it will still give him like initiative to the Frozen Winter.
That's true actually, because and Avalanche is a really strong consideration to not play anything and just open attack.
Plus he knows that the deck of Frozen Winter have like 3 copies of Avalanche, so that was one of the reason.
So really good reads and plays coming out from Wolf here. We see.
So now Frozen Winter is quite confused whether to play the Anlak here or. Okay, so he's going with his Elnok game plan, and he missed. He was unable to summon any copy of Elnoks here. That was quite sad.
Indeed, that's really unfortunate. He needed those Elnoks, you know, to contest against this aggressive start.
He needed at least 1 copy of the Elnok, or plus. I think he wanted more, but obviously he was unable to get any copy of Elnoks here.
And we see Wolf is just passing this turn here. He's just again, as we see, he's hovering over like. This is trying to figure out what he's saving this mana for.
Yeah.
But we do see that harrowing in the hand, you know.
Yeah.
That can be a decisive factor in this game. But regardless, even the Rekindler, Mark of Dice, all of these, and he doesn't need to overcome it right now. And that's the Skitterer coming down.
So that's the... So I think Frozen Winter should play like one copy of at least one follower champion here just for the defense here.
He definitely needs more units to contest, and there we see the Shadow Assassins being considered to be dropped here.
So I don't see any reason to play the Shadow Assassin here, but yeah, again. Okay, so he's just trying to like summon 2 copies of 3/5 just for the defense here.
But that's such an expensive play, you know.
But Frozen Winter is quite desperate in the current situation. So.
Indeed. Alright, so he does decide to go for that play, and it is a desperation move here, so it will be interesting to see if this works out and if Frozen Winter will be able to survive through this early game aggression.
I think maybe he can survive, but as we can see that he have like Wolf have like mark of dials in the hand, so I'm not sure if he can or not.
I mean, right now I think he can maximum push like 5 damage if he pushes with everything. Like 1 unit will connect, and if you put the +3/+3 on that spiderling, it will be only 5 damage. So he is alive right now.
Actually, he can push 6 damage because he can't defend against that. Fearsome using his 2/1.
That is true. There are 4 fearsome units, so
yeah.
He cannot defend, and that's just 1 damage of lethal we see. What do you think about playing that Mark of Dials? Do you think this is the time to connect, use the Mark of Dials to connect here, or you wanna hold off to that?
I think he can do that because he know that there are multiple copies of Avalanche in the deck, so he just want.
I mean, I guess he can save it, you know, when the opponent casts Avalanche on your attack turn. Yeah, like you can use it to buff up your minions.
Agreed. So we can see the other copy of Fearsome 3/2 coming down here. So
Black Spear will be able to kill off the 3/2, so it will not be able to defend in the upcoming turns. But again, he can just buff it up or deny it.
But I don't think any worth of that because next attack turn is of Frozen Winter here.
Yeah, but still, like I don't see why you wanna save that Twin Disciplines, especially since you have another copy of it.
Okay, makes sense. But as I said, I don't see the worth exactly.
Yeah, that's definitely merit towards both the plays, and he does decide to pass up that play.
Yeah. So instead, I would want that mana to be used with my Anivia or Karma next turn.
And there is the Anivia drop. Again, it is not yet enlightened. We do see the deny for harrowing, so maybe this is the time that Frozen Winter will come back in this game.
Yeah, but Anivia will be enlightened next turn, but next turn he will be on defending side, so he won't be able to defend exactly with his Anivia. But I think right now he will be playing his what he can play. I think he will be just dropping down his 2-drop here. Nothing else makes sense here.
Yeah, just there is no reason to not drop that.
And there's also no reason to attack this turn.
Yeah, definitely. But again, like I mean, it will be enlightened, you know, anyway. So I mean, there is not much merit to defending as well. But
I don't see a reason to attack with this 2/1 here because Wolf can take the value trade here and.
But it still will give you a card, right? And you do need cards.
But he don't have that follower next turn to block against the units.
I mean, you also have the option to just buff it up to kill off one of the units, like if they decide to defend. But as you mentioned,
But also, Wolf have also mark of dials and other cards to counter block it or whatever. Take the value to trade in his favor.
I mean, it will become ephemeral, right? So it will still die if it decides to block like that.
Yeah, makes sense.
And that is the open attack. Let's see how he's gonna defend it again. The mark of the isles on any of these minions will be able to secure the win.
He can heal for 3 here, right?
Indeed. So that has to be the play from Frozen Winter here.
In case the Wolf uses the mark of isles, then I think we can see that 3 heal coming from Frozen Winter side here.
And there it is. So he's still alive at 1 HP, barely surviving here. Really good plays coming out from both the players.
So now the Karma is like enlightened. So we can see the Karma coming down here. So he's trying to like set up his Anivia first. He just wants to see what cards Wolf have in his hand before playing his Karma down.
Indeed, always better to play the lower cost units first, you know, to ensure that you have option to do more things to react to the opponents, basically.
Exactly. So, do you think we can see the deny play here?
I mean, considering that there is harrowing, in the opponent's deck, this is a very risky play that he's going for.
And I think Wolf baited Frozen Winter in playing deny here.
If this does work out, then it will be so good for Wolf, that harrowing coming down in the couple of turns after, of course, the next turn.
Upcoming attack token turn, yeah.
Yeah.
So, what do you think he will be doing this turn? Do you think Rekindler will be coming down here?
Oh yeah, for sure, I think, because it will allow you to defend in the next turn as well. But we see a pass is coming down here, so no Rekindler.
So the Karma coming down here, finally after Enlightenment.
Alright, he's still alive at 1 HP, still no healing in the hand, but again that upgraded Karma spell might give him something useful here.
And I think he should go with that first.
He's strongly debating, and I think the attack will always come down here, right?
Yeah, attack will be coming down here just to clear down the board. Like, at least he will be killing down the 4-2 and the 1-1 here.
That lifesteal spell is insane here. Again, we see the caster, we have the caster vision, we see there is nothing to counteract that, and that RNG spell will be able to give him so much healing here.
And I'm pretty sure Frozen Winter will be taking down this game using that 4 mana spell here.
But I mean, there is still the harrowing, it can
but we can see multiple copies of Harsh Winds here, and I'm pretty sure Frozen Winter will be able to defend that harrowing.
Indeed, he can only defend, if he uses that 4 mana spell here, he will only be able to defend against only 2 units next turn with only 1 Harsh Wind, so you always use it here, right?
Yeah. So I don't see, he will just be floating 4 mana here, 4 or maybe 3 mana.
That could be a reason why, he might want to play double Harsh Winds next turn, to counteract that harrowing.
So what he is confused between is whether to gain lifesteal this turn or not.
I think, again, as I mentioned, he wants to save those mana for double Harsh Winds against harrowing, right?
Yeah.
Because it will allow him to defend against 4 units, and he has 3 on board already, so he will be able to defend against most units coming down next turn.
Yep. So that's why I am pretty sure he will floating mana. So yeah, he floated his 4 mana here, and again there's a pass coming on.
But we see the Rekindler board refill coming down, so the harrowing will not be coming down next turn.
Yeah, and so now he just wants to to ensure that he will be a 3-1 blocker for the next turn.
Obviously, Black Spear, that's not quite useful, but we will see an open attack coming down from these units.
So he just wants to, Wolf will just, now Wolf is quite desperate just to push that one last damage here.
Indeed, but we see that 4 mana spell will be able to quite easily get him out of the range of this 1 damage.
So Wolf is just aligning the minions according to the positioning here.
And there it is, the 4 mana spell. We'll have to see the reaction of Wolf here. He must be really upset about getting that card randomly.
Agreed. So Wolf will be quite disappointed by seeing this random spell. That will be.
Let's see the reactions. No reactions so far. Interesting. So maybe he expected something. He has generated a bunch of random spells. So.
Plus, he will be expecting heals from the Frozen Winter deck because he already is running a few spells which can provide karma. Along with karma, which can provide multiple quite good amount of HP generation there.
Yeah, definitely. A lot of healing being ran by that karma deck. What do you think? Do you think you would want to Harsh Winds this 1 here?
I'm not sure. Why would you Harsh Winds?
Yeah, I guess there is no reason. Even if they use Mark of the Ice, you can cast it after, so. Anivia does die, but again, since it is turn 10 already, it will be coming back up in the next turn.
Plus those 1/1s will be dying next turn anyway to Anivia.
Black Spear will be countered by that Elixir of Iron. So again, this is just going in the hands of Frozen Winds right here. Quite a back and forth game, but Wolf is just not able to push that last bit of damage here.
Yeah, that random 4 mana spell that provided Frozen Winter with the extra life steal just saved the game for him.
Indeed. We see the Take Heart being considered to be cast, but I don't see a
I
reason to
think
cast it.
just to push the extra damage here, I think.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense. And you are floating otherwise way too much mana. You have 7 mana. You ideally want to use those 4 mana so they don't go to waste here.
Hmm. So he's just confused whether to play this 2-drop or not. So he's just passing here.
When in doubt, just pass, I guess.
So last copy of Karma coming down here. So he just open attacking here and buffing that elusive unit just to push that extra bit of damage.
He's able
and
to...
he's just trying to set up lethal here.
Yeah, that is lethal again. He cannot defend against that elusive unit. I don't see a reason. I guess, yeah, any upgraded enemy will push that 2 extra damage. That is just lethal.
So he's just setting up lethal here.
Really good plays. That elusive unit, so much buffs going down with the help of Karma there.
So it's just GG here.
Indeed, and that is the game. And Frozen Winter here manages to tie up the series against Wolf. It will be 1-1 here. Finally, that Freljord Ionia deck gets the win after losing in the game 1. And that is game 2 going in the favor of Frozen Winter.
So Frozen Winter was actually losing the early and mid game, but quite managed to survive the early aggression from the Wolf side and managed to win the game.
Indeed, quite a good display of plays from both the players. We will be back with game 3. Don't go anywhere in this intense series. We'll be right back. And yeah, that was a blunder. We were muted the whole game last time. At
Yeah.
least we are live now. I have triple checked already. My eyes are on that audio input capture, and we are live with our voices. So with this prankster burn deck coming down, again Frozen Winter was able to win out that close game. He is at 2-1. He just needs to win with that prankster burn deck, and we see that opponent has struck with that Demacia deck.
Yeah. So who do you think will be in favor this game?
Oh my god, look at the Radiant Guardian. That is the
That-
key card in this matchup. The life steal provided by it will just carry out the game if you manage to set it up well.
But the early game start here is quite good from both of the sides, I can see.
I mean, honestly, even from this point, that Radiant Guardian, if it comes down, I think that's this game. Like, there is just no way you defend against that. Like, you will have to rely on burn damage. You have to push enough damage. So, even the life steals every 2 turns is not enough. But 5 life steal alone is just good enough in most situations.
Plus you need to like deal with it Radiant Guardian or it's a GG. So
And like this deck does not have much tools to deal with it, right? Like 6 damage is quite tough to come by.
so the question is whether Winter will be able to push enough damage to finish off the game by turn 5 or by turn 6 before the Radiant Guardian comes down or not.
Indeed, and looking at the hands, I mean, he does have that 2 mana ephemeral summoner, that can allow him to push some more damage instantly. But right now it looks like the hand is quite slow from Frozen Winter.
I think he should took that 3-1 down here with his 2 mana spell just to summon a spider and heal his Nexus for 1.
Indeed, and it's just about clearing that off. But we see single combat being used quite good here. It will allow him to clear off that 1-2, so no more 2 damage from that unit.
And also no more 1 mana spider summon.
And no more healing. I mean, not that it matters, but hey, it's still an upset, I guess.
So we'll be seeing Elise coming down here. Okay, so he just waiting to play that Elise here.
And you can also sacrifice it to summon 1 more spiders, which I've been.
So he just wants to also draw with that card.
So he will not be able to play that Elise here and open attack with it next turn.
So, but he knows that enemy won't be able to deal with Elise next turn. So that's why he's just waiting to play the Elise.
And we saw the single combat used to deny the card draw. Knowing the importance of this aggressive deck, it is kind of like a combo aggressive deck. That Prankster used to push damage in the mid game with the combos here, and we see it is being drawn.
So Alice just played aggressively here just to push the damage.
And hey, if the 3-2 dies against that Elise and the Radiant Guardian drops down, I think that's the game.
And I think it's happening.
So hey, maybe there was some merit to not even attack with the Elise, but I don't think you can play around that. If your opponent has Radiant Guardian, you kind of just loses here.
Agreed.
And I think we see Frozen Winter accepting his fate, taking a slight nod at that Radiant Guardian drop. We see the Experimenter is in the hand. It will allow him to discard his hand and deal 3 damage to a unit while drawing 3 cards. But that Radiant Guardian is at 6 health. There is an option to repost it as well. And combined with that, I think that's probably not gonna be enough, even if that Experimenter comes down.
Yeah. Plus, he won't be getting he won't be winning on the board here from after this turn. I'm not sure whether he will be even able to defend or even push enough damage now.
Indeed, the start was quite slow. We see him targeting that Radiant Guardian. It will be going down to 3 HP even because of that toughen. And I mean, even if you get another something like Get Excited, it will still not be enough to deal with that Radiant Guardian.
Yeah, it's not just enough.
I mean, I guess Mark of the Isles was an option. If he top decked that, he was able to deal with that Radiant Guardian. But we see it was not top decked, and yeah, he's just hovering over the 10 HP. And Wolf looking quite happy here, along with his Poro in that webcam.
At this moment, I just assume that this game is just done in Wolf's favor because of the Radiant Guardian alone, as you mentioned in the Mulligan phase only.
Yeah, and it was all about, I mean, he did find 1 out, he had that Mark of the Isles out. Like, if he drew that, then there was an option for him to kill off that Radiant Guardian. But that's not the case here, and we see the game will just snowball off from here.
Yeah. I don't see any cards coming from Frozen Winter side that will be able to give him any benefit on the board here.
Indeed, it will be interesting to see when he decides to concede. I think as soon as the next turns opponent comes in, he will be probably conceding this game. And maybe this is the time he would do it as well. Like he's just looking at his hands, there is nothing he can do to defeat this opponent's board state here.
Yeah, President Winter looks quite disappointed with how this game carried on. So I think he will be just thinking of the surrendering, conceding here. But yeah, he knows that he have no odds. Like he's left with no odds. Unless Wolf plays like literally stupid and just defends with his 5-3 here, that makes no sense. So yeah.
Honestly, even if he does that, I think he will still win in this situation.
Because of the repost and minions.
Yeah, I mean, these minions alone are now enough to carry out this game. Now you don't even need that lifesteal as much as it was needed before.
Yeah. So he just opens stack near. He doesn't even care now. He just open attack with 5 of the minions.
Yep.
Elise will be summoning a 1/1 copy 2, but I'm pretty sure Wolf will be taking the value trades here.
Indeed, all the value trades coming down, and
he have also requested to take the value trades in its favor if needed.
And that 1-2 will get buffed, with that repost as well. So he can deal with that quite easily. So now we see him reconsidering his attack options, going back to attacking with the 4-4 only. And I think that's what he's not even gonna do that. Again, he just exhausted all his options and he cannot come up with a good solution to this puzzle.
So he just Winter is just thinking of his outcomes from the next top deck here. Maybe he's just waiting for the top deck to come down here. And Wolf is like thinking on his whether to like play the 5-drop or not.
I think you just drop that 5-4, right? Like you don't mind just taking that value trade against the 4-4.
Yeah, because that 4-4 was the biggest minion Winter had. So obviously, plus he had extra copy of that 5-4 here.
And look at this, like again, this Operand deck will just destroy Frozen Winter, and on top of that, that banner when coming down.
So Winter is just laughing on his like situation.
Yeah, I would not be surprised to see no defenders coming down in this open attack.
So yeah, so he's just honoring his situation and not conceding here. Instead, he's just letting the attack go on.
Quite sportsmanship coming down. Giving your opponent the satisfaction to get those juicy damage in. That's something I don't do. I just concede if I'm losing in this situation. Let's see what he decides to do.
I don't think even. Do you think even if he blocks, he will be able to survive here? I think he will be surviving here.
He's surviving, but like
he will have left with no board to defend or attack with anything next turn.
Yeah, and this is basically like playing to not lose. I don't think you can make any plays that will allow you to win in this situation.
So with this blocking, he's surviving at 4 HP. Now he's surviving on like 8 HP.
Indeed, but the board situation, when we look at that story, it's completely different. 20 HP, a board full of minions versus 0 minions.
Not 0 actually, it's 1 minion. if this spell goes on.
I mean, honestly, I would not be surprised to see the repost coming down to even deny that satisfaction,
No, but that will be still summoning 1/1 spider.
That's true, but now the next turn it does make space for the 9-drop, and that card, my friend, is just insane.
I'm pretty sure that 1/1 will gonna deal that 20 damage. Get the game done in the Winter's favor here.
Spiderling, if it could be.
And that 9/9 drop here, just insane.
And it's still not conceding. So we see the will of fortitude, it does require insane strength to not concede here. We see the mark of the high sword, or he needed that card earlier to deal with that Radiant Guardian. But the heart of the card's not in the favor of Frozen Winter.
So maybe just Frozen Winter just don't want to concede here because he have to play one more game against Wolf here.
And there we see that is the game there. 2-2 series tied. It will be going to game 5. It will be that Prank Shot Burn versus the Mono Shadow Isle stack. It will be interesting to see who wins. We'll be back with game 5. Stay tuned. And we are back. It is the Prankster Burn versus the fearsome Mono Shadow Isles deck with Elise and Hakarim. Oh my god, I love Frenzied Skitter. I think that start from that fearsome Shadow Isles. I'm already favoring that already.
Yeah, because as we know that Prankster Burn won't have heavy static minions to defend against the fearsome units, and that's why I think fearsome is quite favored in this matchup.
And we see those double pranksters being kept now. That, oh my god, combined with the salesman, that is already a lot of damage in the hand already.
Yeah, if he manages to set up that 3-drop, and obviously he will do that.
And the curse keeper has drawn to fill up the curve here, so quite well. But we do see those fearsome units will be connecting every turn, and I think when it comes to racing, those fearsome units will come out on top.
Yeah, pretty sure. Because Prankster Bond needs to slow down the game somehow, then win the game by taking the trades. But even if he set up the Prankster, he won't be defending. He won't be taking the blocks using. He won't be able to block against the fearsome units. That's why he won't be able to push up that damage extra. Damage.
We see the Mark of the Isles being committed there just to summon that 4/4. This also leaves open 2 mana, so he can cast Mystic Shot to deal with that 3/2. So quite good plays coming out. We mentioned how the Skid Red's gonna be insane, but we see that Frozen Winter is making quite a good plays with the hand that he has right now.
So with that attack, actually Frozen Winter wanted Wolf to counter with his 3/2, and if he didn't, but still he managed to get that 4/4. So he just wants that 3/4 to defend against those fearsome units here.
Indeed, and the Mystic Shot being saved here does make sense. Another Skitter comes down. This will allow him to push quite a bit of damage here, but we'll see that the 3/4 will be able to defend against the 3/3, and he still also has mana to Mystic Shot that 4/2. So I think Winter is in a quite decent position here.
I don't think Winter is. I agreed, but yeah, I think Winter will need to set up a Prankster here, and still I think Fearsome is quite in better position compared to in board value
Indeed, but we see the 2 copies of the box here, not as useful as he would want.
Yeah, so that was some.
Even the making use of that Wild Fist will allow him to trade into that 4/4 initially. So again, the board stat quite back and forth here, but the Prankster is still pushing a lot of damage. And if you see the second Prankster combined with that Salesman coming down, that's already, 6 damage coming from just that Salesman.
I think Wolf will be if Winter plays his Prankster, second copy of Prankster, then I think Wolf will be using his box just to kill down the Prankster here.
Yeah, definitely. That box has to come down if the Prankster is the question from Frozen Winter.
Yeah, but I'm pretty sure Winter will be playing his 1-drop here instead, just to see what Wolf plays here.
I think Wolf is smart enough to save up the mana here. He's considering just dropping those Mist Rays here though, and I think he's still willing to take the race against, and we see him now. We see his reactions. He was surprised to see the second Prankster coming down again. I don't think you play around that usually. So I mean, yeah, we had the caster vision, so you were like, you should save for the box. But in this situation, not saving for it was the fine play as well.
Yeah. Plus, Winter was quite sure of this. So Winter kept those both a copy of Prankster in his mulligan, I think. So those Prankster will carry him down, I think.
Yeah, we see already a lot of damage will be pushed here, and not killing that Spider Link is actually better in this situation. If you kill it, it is pushing 2 damage value. If you let it live, it is only pushing 1. But again, you'll have to rely on those fearsome units to get all the rest of the damage through 13 damage to be exact. That's not a small feat.
Yeah. Plus, I think what doesn't went in Wolf's favor is the 2 top decks of those 2 copies of Shadow Box here. That's quite bad for his game plan, but now he's drawing some minions again.
But I mean, honestly, that might be too late. As I mentioned earlier, that Salesman, it does not have enough board space to make use, but now that Glimpse Beyond is drawn, he will be able to use it on the Spider Link to push 2 more damage, and that Salesman will be able to push 6 more damage, which is quite insane.
Agreed. So he will still be pushing 8 damage this turn if he wants to.
Indeed, and along with that, he's also drawing 2 more cards. If we get something like Mark of the Isles, that's just lethal on the spot.
Plus, also he can use that Salesman just to block against any fearsome unit, just to push that extra last 2 damage to just finish the Wolf here.
And we see him calculating here. Like again, as we mentioned, this is an aggressive deck, but it has this combo elements as well, which is what makes it really interesting to watch and learn as well.
So now as we mentioned, he's just going with the draw here, just to push that the 2 damage plus draw 2 cards. I don't think even he even need those 2 cards because he has already lethal setup in his hand. But yeah, and it's later.
I mean, he can decide to like not attack. The opponent can decide to not attack.
But what can he do then?
Yeah, that's true. Like he has to push damage somehow, and there's just nothing he can do here.
Either he attacks or either he wins next turn.
Yeah, exactly.
So, unless he kills his prankster, Winter wins here.
And we see there is nothing in the hand that can deal with it. We see Wolf here just leaning on his chair, just accepting his fate here.
So next turn he just open attacks and he wins.
And even that's the glimpse beyond. Yeah. Like there's just so many questions in this deck that there is no answer for it in the opponent's deck. He can literally do anything here basically, apart from passing, and he will still win.
Yeah. Even if he passes, he still wins.
He probably will win, yeah.
Next turn by just defending with his 3-2 here.
Right. And he's still playing his minions. He wants to ensure that he's exhausting any chance for the opponent to come back. We see the box being used here. Double box here.
And that box is just
because he knows it is game over. So yeah, why not?
Yeah, why not? Just play it.
And there it is, Frozen Winter taking the win with that Prankster Burn deck, winning the series 3-2 here. Quite a good fight coming around from both these players. Wolf quite a bit short of finishing the series, but we see Frozen Winter with those exceptional Prankster plays. As you mentioned, keeping those Pranksters in the mulligan definitely paid off.
Yeah, actually that only paid off because elsewise, and plus also Wolf draw like literally bad in the early game, like drawing those copies of shadow boxes. And outplaying the prankster drop on that turn 5 there, where Wolf was not able to predict that second copy of prankster there, and he just exhausted his mana instead of saving the mana for shadow box, and that literally gave up the win to the Frozen Winter.
Indeed, so some really good reads and mind games coming down from both the players, but Frozen Winter does take down the series. We have some more couple of series coming down. On this day too, Group B players will be duking it out. So make sure you guys don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. now we are back with what looks like a page of Mobalytics, but we see it has been transitioned out. And right now we see that Freljord and PNZ deck again against a Timo Noxus deck. That is quite an interesting variant coming down there. But here we are in the series number 3 for Group B. We have some really good players playing it out. Let's see how it goes. And again, that PNZ has to be that Israel, but again, it could have a splash of Hammer as well. But so far, it looks like it's gonna be just a good old Ezreal deck.
So right now we are having some technical issues. I think we are not able to get the caster view of the second player here. So we can just okay. So we got that back.
And we see on the top side, that is a known face in the Hearthstone universe and the card game universe. It is none other than Surrender.
Yeah. So hi boy.
And on the bottom we have Park Soga, who is I think Africa's CCG team member as well. So really good, two good really players coming out here in this series.
So do you think the 0-4 will be attacking this turn? Just for the 2 attack, pushing it.
I mean, I honestly think it should, because like pushing 2 damage here looks fine, but Surrender does decide to pass up.
So now we'll be just seeing pass again from
Park Soga.
here.
It seems like he has decided to pass up. The other play was just Flash of Brilliance, and I would like to note one thing. Since there is Flash of Brilliance in the hand, I think it is indeed that Hammer variant, that card combined with Hammer can summon at least 2 3-cost units there, so it's definitely that Hammer variant.
2 elusives basically, and basically elusives are very good in pushing down the chip damage.
Indeed, but we see quite an aggressive start here from that Noxus and PNZ variant, and we also saw how it is only running Timo as its champion, which is quite interesting.
So Timo is just there for just elusive keyword, and just for the 1 damage plus some random poison pup caps in the deck, and just for the extra burn that Timo can provide, except for the fact that he's a 1 mana 1/1 elusive unit. So except that it's basically a burn deck.
Yeah, it looks like it, and it seems like since there is a brothers band, that it seems like it is that aggressive or like a board based variant of the burn deck. It is not completely reliant on Jinx again, because there is no Jinx in this deck. So it is that board based variant, which I think this PNZ deck does quite well against. There is a bunch of removal options, there is a bunch of freeze effects. We see the brothers band coming down here along with the Mystic Sword. So quite an aggressive start from Surrender is just looking to keep this board secure, knowing that he does not have that good of a refill. I think it is important to keep this board alive.
Agreed. Plus Surrender just using Mystic Sword here to save his 3-4 here, and that 3-4 will be pushing, surviving the 1 more turn just to push that extra 2 damage in the upcoming attack turn.
Indeed, and 3 damage is also being pushed by that undefended 3-4, so already down to 13 HP here. I don't believe this deck runs any healing effects, so any amount of damage in the early game is quite crucial.
Plus those 2 mana 1/4s which are currently buffed to 3/3 and 3/4s are like quite a good start for Surrender here, which will be pushing like plus 4 damage again next attack token. So they are doing their job. Plus we can see like 4 more damage coming from Surrender's hand.
And what do you think about playing that jump bomb here instead of Hammer Dangle?
Okay, so jump bomb, he just I think he just played jump bomb just to take that value trade, just to attack this turn, but he wasn't expecting those 0-1s to come down here. That salesman summoning his 0-1s, so now he can't attack because he won't be taking like a good trade or any trade here basically.
Oh my god, and look at that decimating the hand. We already see 4 damage from those spell effects and the 2 damage from that last with effect, so already 6 plus 4 from that decimate, and that's almost lethal here. So any amount of damage being pushed here will be quite important, and it will allow Surrender to get this win quite easily if this Israel or Hammer deck cannot come back. And so far it looks like there is very little that they can do. They are trying to freeze everything.
So he needs to freeze that 3-2 also down this turn to survive, else it's a GG this turn, I think, because we have caster vision. We can see that decimate here in the hand of Surrender.
Indeed, and we see that it will be interesting. He is still debating if he wants to defend against that.
So actually, it won't be littered because the 0-1 is not dying this turn. So it will be still 2 off next turn. So a surrender will need one more attack turn to set that little up.
He decides to does not use that flash freeze, so the 3 damage goes to
So
and he's
now-
exactly at 4 HP, and that will just be the game here. Decimate being instantly hovered over, and it will be
Yeah.
casted as soon as the turn is there, and there it is, Decimate. Turn, and look at this, like turn 6 lethal coming out from that aggressive deck. Definitely really solid plays from Surrender.
Also, Saga was quite desperate not to use that freeze on the 3-2 here because he wants to set up his Heimerdinger, else it was just GG for him anyways. So he just went with the winning plan here, which he was unable to do because he didn't had exact amount of mana.
Indeed. So that play, even though we had the vision, I think that play was definitely the right one for that PNZ player. And quite a quick game 1 here. We'll be back with game 2 as soon as we can. Till then, stay tuned. And we are back, and we see he has decided to stick with the same deck, and against him is the Zigzos variant of that Freljord Ionia deck, the famous Zigzos elusive deck. Again, Surrender, a former teammate of Zigzo. I'm not sure what they are up to right now, but just showing that respect, I'm sure, these players have deep respect for each other, and just net decking from Zigzo, I think we all do that. And hey, Surrender does it again. And we see quite a good hand here coming out. No Omen Hawk though. What do you think about that?
It will be still fine. Surrender looks quite happy with his hand here. So I think it's as is planned.
Indeed, the Green Glade Dew will be able to push a lot of damage, but we see that there is only one removal option in the form of Mystic Shot. Like against this deck, as the Ezreal combo deck, you need those static shocks, you need those Mystic Shots, and you need those freeze effects. So them only having one Mystic Shot is quite disappointing for Parth Soga.
So there's your second Mystic Shot there, just to kill that second copy of 2-1 here if needed.
Yeah, and I think the one Mystic Shot will come down. They can decide to develop Israel as well. I mean, yeah, as we see here, because it is contesting against the 2-1 quite well. Of course, it will be buffed as the turns go, but still just having that option to block with that Israel is definitely quite fine in this situation.
Yeah. Plus, I won't think he will be attacking with his Israel this turn. Because, okay, he have 1 mana left with, so he can use that brittle still if needed. So he will be attacking with his 1 Israel if needed.
And now that card is 3-1, the Clean Glad Duo again. There's no reason to attack with it. It's just that there, to act as a blocker if needed.
So he could have taken that value trade after freezing that Green Glade with his brittle still here with the 1 mana left. So he could have went with the attack, but he planned to not to.
Indeed, that would have been quite a really good play if that happens out. But I think the opponent would probably just let Israel connect. He cannot make use of the fleeting Mystic Sword this turn. That's probably why Parth Soga decided to not attack them.
Basically, he don't want to risk his Israel here, so that's one of the reasons.
Yeah, and I mean, Israel is not as important in this matchup compared to others. As I mentioned earlier, I think in this matchup, it just acts as a blocker for those, elusive units that often get buffed after some time.
Yeah, agreed. So, what do you think he will be doing this turn? I think, for me, I think he will just be passing or killing that 2-1 here with the. Okay, so surrender. It's surrender's turn. So I think he will be just playing the second copy of. Okay, so it's turn 4. I think he should play that 4 mana card here.
He also has the option to play Z, and I think that's what he's deciding to do here, you know.
Okay, I didn't said Jet coming, so
Yeah,
that's
it
my
was
bad.
it was top deck just this turn, and it does get played. Mystic Shot being saved for that Z specifically, and there is no elixir of iron here or elixir of will, which gives the unit +2 health, you know. So not having that now, the Ezreal player Park Soga does have the read that there is no elixir of will in the hand of Surrender.
So that was quite disfortunate for the surrender here, but he will still be going with the attack here. So Ezreal coming down with the defense here, using that brittle steel to defense against that green glade.
Indeed, and so far it looks like the Israel player is doing quite well, but we see the jeweled protector coming down, and then if followed by that hatchling, you know, that can provide him enough burst damage in that mid game, and we only see one flash freeze available to answer that.
So surrendered hand is quite bad in terms of like initiative spells. He have only like followers only in his hand, so he's not even able to defend his minions if needed. So that's why he's quite lacking on the board. But I think he will be going for the late game plan here.
Indeed, that jewel protector and that hatchling, if developed, if you know given enough time to get through, that can be quite a decent amount of damage coming out in just a single turn. So I think that's what Surrender will be looking for from this point.
Yeah, this matchup quite relies on either early damage push up using the green glades and the 1 mana to 1 buffed cards, buffed elusive cards, or if you were unable to push the early game damage, then you need to go to quite late game using that 5 mana 4/4 just and the 7 mana 4/2 elusives just to buff up the elusive units and push for the final damage.
Indeed, but I think as the game goes late, the Ezreal combo deck is definitely favored because it does run a lot amount, like a bunch of freeze effects. You know, we see the flash freeze even coming down. That's not a card you see in the usual list, but the Hammer variants definitely prefer that. Combined with that, there will be those like harsh winds as well, you know, which will prevent those elusive units from connecting. So I think as the game goes long, this Ezreal combo deck is definitely favored.
I don't agree too much like 100% with that statement, because seeing how many elusive units that deck runs, so like you won't be able to defend like against all the units, and some elusive units will be able to connect and maybe push it enough damage required to finish up the game.
Right, but again, that Ezreal combo deck can burst down, but it's all about gonna be that back and forth dance, you know, between that Kinku Lifeblade, which can easily life steal, and we see it is already buffed up. I think that is one of the most important elusive unit in this deck, because as you mentioned, you know, as the game goes late, there is a bunch of elusive units. So the win condition for Ezreal deck is to like survive till they're able to burst down the opponent. But with that Lifeblood coming down, it becomes extremely difficult to burst down the opponent, and I'm quite surprised to see that there was no Thermo Pin coming down in this situation. What do you think about that? Like, are they saving that Thermo Beam for something better? I think this 5/5 with Lifesteal is probably the best target they have right now.
Actually, yeah, I was also confused why he played follower instead of that Thermo Beam here, because he needed to kill that 5/5 that last turn. No, I don't think he have anything to defend against that, unless he wants to freeze that, but freezing that doesn't make even sense. He will just be defending like blocking 4 HP regeneration by surrender here, nothing else.
So as we see, he decides to pass him and still saving up that Thermo Beam for something quite interesting, honestly. Like maybe he's afraid of something, some buffs coming down, but I think there is quite a decent read we have had so far that, you know, there is no buff options available for surrender, and just passing that up can be quite critical here and can be the downfall from this game for Park Soga.
But also Park Soga haven't seen any spells coming from surrender side, so I think he have some sort of reads that maybe surrender is holding on some spells or some sort of buffs. That's why he didn't use his surrender.
Right, but again, you know, the more time you give, there is a higher chance that they will have those answers. So I think just making use of the Thermo Beam last turn could have been decent, but maybe we are probably missing something that, you know, this Park Soga, again, we do have that caster vision, so we are able to just go from that as well, while the players actually do not have that vision. So there could be some merit to saving it up that we are missing here.
Yeah, I agree. So what do you think he will be going to do this turn?
I don't think there is any reason to block this attack coming through. I mean, yeah, you can block with the 4/4. There is no risk of it dying, so it does make sense. Just taking that value trade here, and that unit is not that impactful for you. The marksman will be able to deal with that as well. The Israel is still alive, and you see those mushrooms being kept, and combined with that progress day even, if given enough time, then Park Soka will be able to burst down here. So Surrender will have to come in for a push with those elusive units as soon as he can.
But for the burst, he needs to kill off that 5/5 unit. No, I think he will be considering a beam here because he will be quite sure that there won't be any deny coming if Surrender is running one copy of it. So,
it's a really good place. Just waiting till the mana goes below 4 so he cannot cast deny. It's really good reads. That's probably why they were not playing it.
Agreed.
So as you mentioned, that deny potential, definitely a threat.
So he was quite unsure. Plus that 3 mana which buffs a minion plus 3 health. So that was one.
That was still able to keep the 5/5 alive, right? Like
agreed.
It would go to 8 health, but he just had to go for it. Like if Surrender had the twin disciplines, then you just lose basically.
Yeah, because he still had 3 mana left. But Surrender was unable to. Surrender top decked it after return when required, so it went into Park Soka's favor.
Indeed, and now he has the option to go either for that hatchling or those lifebloods, and he has decided to go for that hatchling. He'll be able to look to push the damage here with that green gladiator and hatchling. But again, that flash freeze will come down here to prevent that 8 damage from connecting to the face. And I missed how much upgrade was there, but it seems like it's around 5 to 6 at least.
I think it will be around like 5 or 4, I think. Because okay, so he will be freezing that 8/6 here, obviously. Why not?
Indeed, and so Surrender will be able to push only 4 damage. He can still buff it up 7, but again, no point in doing that. So only 5 mana left, and Flash of Brilliance can be casted here, but it might be just better to save the mana for next turns. Omen Hawk being played here because 1 mana left over. Why not buff some more minions?
So that get excited getting top decked here will be able to like kill off that elusive unit if required. That 4/2 here. Okay, and dodge top decks now.
That harsh winds is gonna be extremely crucial. Along with the Thermo, when we see it is at exactly 4 mana, so it is a perfect answer to that green glade duo. But of course, there is twin disciplines now in the hand of Surrender, so that threat can be neutralized quite easily.
So Park Soka is just passing down here just to see what Surrender plays next here.
I would not be surprised to see both the Lifebloods just coming down here, or even the Lifeblood and the Shadow Assassin to try to get more answers. Something like Deny could be great here.
So Surrender's game plan should be just to play down as much elusive units as he can, so that Park Soka won't be able to freeze all the elusive units, and some of elusive units just connect to the face, and it will be enough to finish the game.
And that Shadow Assassin has drawn the Hatchling, which is just going to be insane in the next turn. You see the Mystic Shot being played first here. If potentially to bait out the health buffs here, but I think it is fine even if you just buff it up. There is no reason to not do that in this situation.
Yeah, just saving that 4/2 because it is just an elusive copy unit, so it's quite worth it.
Indeed, but again, Park Soka will be able to use either the Thermo Wave or get excited to deal that remaining 3 damage to that hatchling to clear it off. But I think as if you're Surrender, I think you'll be fine with that considering the hand you have behind that.
Yeah, agreed. So because he have a second copy of hatchling coming up next turn. Before that, he will be playing that 4-drop or maybe 2 mana 3/2, recalling that Omen Hawk if needed. So he will be playing. Yeah, I'm pretty sure he will be following up with that 2 mana elusive along with that 4 mana elusive, and will follow up with the last copy of his hatchling to push up the final damage next turn.
Indeed, so it's all going to be coming down towards using those free spells, but as you mentioned, this is already too many elusive units. We'll see potentially 6 or at least 5 elusive units coming down in the next turn, so that's definitely going to be interesting to see how it goes, and we see that Israel has finally upgraded, and we see a decent amount of spells in the hand here. We see at least 3 burst spells. So Thermal Beam, the slow spell here, finally coming down. It will clear off that 4-3, but there is, again, it just opens up a board space for that lifeblood, which is even more critical in this situation.
Yeah, plus actually I was playing this matchup yesterday or a day ago, and what I analyzed from this matchup is that there will be like too much elusive units from the Jigsaw elusive deck here, and not enough treasures to counter against all the elusive units, and ultimately in the late game it just connects to the face and you win usually. So that's why I was favoring the elusive unit deck here. So.
I mean, honestly, just another copy of Harshwinds could just might be enough to keep this dream alive, But maybe a Brittle Steel, maybe something like Flash Freeze coming from that progress day as well. And cards like that can still allow the Israel to burst down, like only one lifesteal unit is on the board.
But you won't have enough mana to cast 2 Harshwinds, and we can see that he wasn't even able to draw that second copy of Harshwinds here. And he will be still only be able to defend against 2 elusive units plus 1 using his elusive here.
Right, so he will have to like sacrifice his. You can. Okay, so you can clear off the 5-3 with your Get Excited. Okay, so that is one elusive unit down. Okay. You can use Harshwinds to counter the 2 effects, and then I guess there's still 2 more. So you'll probably have to deal with that with your Israel, unfortunately. But again, you are still pushing at least 2, 4, and 6 damage from this turn. So
plus he will still survive if you do what you suggested. If he does what you
suggested, so it's basically like he just needs another Israel top deck, and the game is theirs. So it is quite close, and we see the spell being casted here. So pushing 1 more damage through that, he will still have mana to do the rest of the things. So again, like it is totally fine to just cast that spell here. No reason to not do that. But again, I think maybe you would want to have cast that Get Excited first, right?
Yeah, just to kill off that elusive, because he will be open attacking this turn. So guys, Get Excited anyway. That fast spell, so you can cast it later anyways.
You know what? Actually, he's just 1 damage of lethal if he just casts Get Excited to face here with those mushrooms. That's just as you mentioned. Like we mentioned how this matchup is really close, but
so basically both of them are 1 damage off here. So even if he defends against all the elusive units, he will still be like 1 damage or like how much? 3 damage, 4 damage.
So this is as I was saying, he had to get excited the 5 and defend against that. Wait a second.
2 of them. So 4 damage.
This is interesting. I was really hoping he would defend against. He would Harshwind the lifesteal unit here. I don't think you can afford to give lifesteal life back to that. To the elusive deck, like that is a win condition here, like bursting down the opponent.
Yeah, plus that lifesteal unit is not even dying here, so that's one. So I think that was slight misplay here. He could have defended against that 0-5, 5-5 and frozen down that 4-4 here.
Indeed. So now the matchup is going in favor of Surrender again, as we see quite a back and forth matchup here. Maybe that progressively will be able to give him some miraculous things, but I still don't see that.
And we see that last copy of that hatchling drawn here, so that will be like just.
Let's see what progressively gives. That is not Israel, and that is just game over, my friend. Yeah. Maybe that Flash of Brilliance will give him something like, I don't know what even it could be. Maybe some, let's say, ruination in this situation, but you won't even be able to cast it next turn. Because the initiative is for Surrender going into the next turn, and I think that's a game. He's gonna throw those mushrooms in and hope that he draws all 10 of them in 1 turn.
Exactly.
That is the win condition right now for Park Saga, and as we mentioned, I think just defending against that lifesteal unit, maybe you had a better chance. Like maybe Get Excited would have been able to get you there with those mushrooms, and of course the Israel top deck wasn't out, but since he decided to let that connect to the face, lifesteal will be able to keep Surrender quite healthy, and I don't think there is any out now. He's even deciding to play the hatchling right now.
So Surrender will be just open. Okay, so he is not even open. He just buffing his board more, and
he'll just open attack next turn. And as you mentioned, nothing that can be used. Flash of Brilliance coming down here is hoping for something, but 2 slow spells, and that is too slow as well. Surrender will be taking down quite a good victory here in game 2 with that 6 dose elusive variant. So quite a good display of matchup knowledge, as you mentioned. Like this matchup is all about navigating around that lifesteal Kenku lifeblood, I would say. And Surrender did that exceptionally well. We saw him taking down game 2 there.
Exactly. And okay, so we'll be back with the game 3 here in couple of minutes.
Alright guys, we are back. Potentially the last game of the series. Surrender leading with a score of 2-0. And now it seems like he's playing that Shadow Eyes deck with Elise. And against we see that Demacia and Ionia variant. It is quite interesting here. We've seen the Demacia deck performing exceptionally well throughout these 2 days here. So what do you think about these 2 decks?
So basically, what I think here is the deck Surrender is running is quite aggressive in nature, while the deck Paksoga is running is quite mid-range in nature. Plus, Fiora is one of the win condition for the Paksoga here.
Indeed, Fiora is exceptionally well in those aggressive matchups, because most of the units are pretty low cost, so we are able to make use of Fiora to get towards that win condition. Again, Fiora, if you destroy 4 minions with it, if Fiora manages to kill off 4 minions and survive, then you just win the game. And that is the a secondary win condition, I would say, for this deck. Again, you are just looking to make a good board and snowball the game from that. But that Fiora win condition definitely a threat in aggressive matchups.
So we can see the Surrender just setting his Elise for the next turn attack here.
Indeed, and I think in this deck, Elise is the best turn to play here. I don't think, no matter the matchup, no matter the situation, Elise on turn 2 will probably work out for you. So really good turn from Surrender.
Also, you have second copy of Elise in the hand, so
he's not afraid of it dying. Yeah,
agreed. So now just Paksoga is just hovering over his turn 3 plays here. Whether he wants to play Fiora here or he wants to play Shadow Assassin for the next turn.
Indeed, and I think Fiora is quite a clear play here. We see the Hecarim and the Rekindler in the hand here. So really strong mid game coming out from Surrender. But the early to mid game transition can be difficult, as we see he had Arachnoid Horror to play here. He's decided to not do it. So it will be interesting to see what comes up here. And that is the block. Do you think the crawling sensation will come out here?
Yeah, obviously.
So like crawling sensation combined with that arachnoid horror will be able to level up Elise if required. And I think that's quite a decent play coming out from this surrender side. But again, he might be willing to save mana for that Black Spear. So in case if Fiora gets dropped here, he can just Black Spear it down.
So playing Fiora is quite riskier. That's why he played the Shadow Assassin instead. Because Park Soga have a read of having Black Spear in the surrender sand here.
Indeed, so really good mind reads coming out. Again, one of the knowledge required, like we see that playing the cards is one thing, but reading what your opponent has, that is a skill where we card games lovers actually love this genre in itself. So, but as we mentioned, the crawling sensation does come down here. He still does have the option to Black Spear something if he decides, but I think I will just be happy with playing that Arachnoid Horror here.
Yeah, just to upgrade upgrade the surrender Elise here.
Indeed, and that it is Elise will upgrade, it will level up this turn, and it will be a 4-3 now.
So game is right now game is going in surrender's favor. Plus he's quite of playing a deck of aggressive nature here, so we can't say yet.
We see the Fiora drop down. I would not be surprised to see the Fiora challenging that Spider Queen Elise, just trying to clear it off again. Like otherwise, Spider Queen Elise gives challenger to all the spiders as well, so that 3-2 will just take value trade against Fiora, and you don't want to spend 4 mana just keeping it alive, in this aggressive matchup. So I think just taking that trade Fiora out for that Spider Queen Elise would just be fine for Park Soga.
Also, one more benefit of Spider Queen is she gives all of the units fearsome, all of the spider units fearsome, so that you can defend with 2 attack, 2 power minions against those spiders. So killing that Spider Queen is quite necessary here.
Yeah, that is indeed what he has decided to do, and giving the support to that 3-3 here definitely makes sense. Just trying to push up as much damage as he can, min-maxing this board states here. So really good plays coming out from Park Soga.
So surrender is now deciding whether to block against that 2-2 or not. So he's going with the block here.
That is quite interesting as well. Again, as he mentioned, this fearsome unit, it would have been able to connect face next turn, but he's just afraid of that War Chef, just providing too much value. And Black Spear will be able to deal with the 3-3 quite clean here.
Yeah, plus he will still have left with 3 mana just to play that Arcanite Horror and still be floating 1 mana for the spell mana here.
Indeed, we see that the next turn is quite empty though for surrender. Apart from Operand taking here, he cannot do much. Relentless Pursuit will be helpful like around turn 8, I would say, once that Rekindler comes down as well. Once you exhaust your opponent out of the options, that Pursuit will be quite good here.
So as a tempo mid-range deck here, Surrender wanted some minions to play on the turn 5 here, but he was unable to find so and was quite disappointed with top deck here as a Relentless Pursuit, because he did not wanted that card right now. So he's just going down with whatever value he can get from that 2 mana spell, just so that he don't float extra mana here.
Indeed, and both players will be quite happy with this place here, and we see these barriers. Look at those amount of barriers. Like rest of the hand for Park Soga is basically barriers and a Wheel of Ionia, so quite interesting there. Wild Feast can come down here, but I honestly don't see a point in doing that. I think you just want to drop that Hecarim, and you actually have the option to rally this turn as well, just try to push damage with that Hecarim, and you kind of want Hecarim to die as well, so you can play Rekindler next turn and have even more pressure. So it will be interesting to see what Surrender decides to do here.
I think he will be going with your plan, what you just stated just now. So let's see if he goes with that or not.
And he does decide to, seems like he has decided to pass up here. I mean, Wheel of Ionia is the main challenge here. If you go for that rally first, then that Wheel of Ionia will definitely come down. And we see if Relentless Pursuit comes down here, but it does not. Turn gets passed, and now it will be an open attack, I believe.
So now we see that Harrowing coming down here. So we can we will be seeing that Harrowing in the couple of turns if needed. And Surrender also wants his Hecarim to die here, so that he will be able to not spend floating his mana this turn. So let's see what he does here.
He decides to let the 3 to die. By the way, did you see that? Radiant Guardian top deck. You have seen the power of that card against aggressive decks especially. And if that comes down here, and it will, this is going to be trouble for Surrender. But again, as you mentioned, the Harrowing, an extremely strong one can't win condition there. Getting drawn, Surrender will be feeling quite happy here.
Also, that Radiant Guardian top deck was quite necessary for Park Soga here because he had like literally no other minions to play down this turn. Like 2 mana 3/2 provide a barrier are lot like not as good vanilla drops. So that's why that Radiant Guardian was quite necessary for him.
Indeed, and we see that the 5-1 challenger is being secured or being safe here by that barrier. So Wildfish will not be able to clear it off, and again it will still get that spider link summoned, but that's the least concern for Parso.
So I was quite confused. He could have played, Surrender could have played Rally last turn, but I think he was not he thought that Rally is not worth enough, so he just passed.
Yeah, again, Rally would just be met with the block from that Radiant Guardian against that Hecarim, So yeah, it would die, it would make your Rekindler alive, but the Radiant Guardian is still quite healthy, especially combined with the buffs that could be present.
Agreed.
And I don't think there was any line that would have dealt with the Radiant Guardian. So Radiant Guardian is the major concern here. Again, as we see already, healing for 5 in this situation and dealing 5 damage, that's just too strong for an aggressive deck to deal with.
So, but still, if he manages to somehow kill that Radiant Guardian, I think Surrender will be in quite a good position here.
This turn is quite interesting as well. He has 2 good options in the form of Radiant Guardian and the Rekindler. What do you think is gonna come down this turn?
I think he'll be just playing his Rekindler here.
Indeed, Rekindler will allow him to open attack next turn as well.
Okay, also Radiant Guardian quite good choice too here because Radiant Guardian needs some sort of activation like when an ally dies, so that can be a possibility here.
Indeed, but we do see the Rekindler coming down here. I think it's quite guaranteed to get Radiant Guardian proc off anytime, Again, those spider links will be able to just do their jobs basically by dying and activating that Radiant Guardian, so he's not afraid to do that. Again, I would not be surprised to see an open attack coming down this turn.
Yeah, I think he should be open attacking this turn. Just to activate the Radiant Guardian, plus just to make some space on the board.
Even then, if we look at this board state, he will be able to push decent amount of damage, but that Radiant Guardian on the opponent's hand side will heal for 5 again in any situation here. There is just nothing that Surrender can do to answer that.
Yeah, that Radiant Guardian top deck that turn was is saving Park Soga, it's basically carrying Park Soga till the mid game here, unless he would have been quite near to just lose here. Let's see how Surrender wants to attack here.
I would like to mention one thing though. There is only 1 minion in the hand of Park Soga there. I mean, yeah, another minion will be generated with that challenger, but he's running low on those minion resources. So I think it's about time he should use these spells to try to keep the minions alive on board.
So what do you think about the possibility of Surrender using that Relent Pursuit here?
I think that is a decent choice there.
That elite being generated here is quite good for the Park Soga here.
Indeed, as we mentioned, they were running out of minions, but that Cithria that coming out from that random challenger will be able to keep the hopes and I guess the chances of potentially winning the first game in this series here for Park Soga Live.
Exactly. So Surrender is just going wide here.
There is again still that option to just rally here. Do you think it's gonna come down here?
Yeah, I think it, but he still floated the mana. He wants to make sure that rally basically secures him lethal here. So he's just saving that rally for the lethal.
Indeed, and I think imagine just defending against the board. You try to get as many minions off, and then you play the Harrowing combined with that rally.
Yeah, agreed.
I think that is what Surrender is looking for as his win condition.
Yeah. So that Radiant Guardian not dying, going to die any soon. So because of the barrier provided here.
Indeed, and there is still like so many combat tricks available for Park Soga. He'll be able to keep the things alive as much as he wants here. And we see there is just no combat tricks available in the hands of Surrender. We see Relentless Pursuit and the Harrowing only useful, before or after the combat phase. So the combat phase is leading towards Park Soga, and he also has a better board in this situation. So you don't want to be in this situation where the player that has the better board control also has better combat tricks.
Yeah. Plus, we can also see that he have initiatives in sort of recall being available, that barriers being available, life steals being available. So Park Soga looks in quite decent situation here.
Indeed, and he also has the option to use that Radiant Guardian who has the barrier, use that with the single combat to kill off the opponent's Radiant Guardian to ensure that the board is completely in favor of him. And I think that's what we're gonna see. But again, I think that read was there. He decided to block it with the 4-3 to ensure that if the single combat comes down, then the opponent's Radiant Guardian will also die.
Agreed. So Surrender is having those reads in his mind, and he's even also Surrender is quite close to dying him now. So that's why he's going all safe play here.
Indeed. What do you think about I guess he can't block because there is fearsome. So those spider links just cannot block any other unit apart from C3 there. And another barrier coming down will allow that Radiant Guardian, and it will just die off here. You see complete board dominations coming down here. We mentioned how Surrender wanted to clear off as many minions as he could, and he managed to clear one minion this turn. Maybe this is the best time to use that Harrowing along with the rally here.
Plus also using that barrier to kill off that Surrender's Radiant Guardian provided him with not gaining that HP regeneration that turn.
Indeed, so really good plays coming down here, and wow, that is still quite strong, but it will be interesting to see if it is enough to keep the game and alive for Surrender here.
Yeah, but Surrender is quite in desperate situation, so he was required to do this Harrowing this turn and comboing it with Relentless Pursuit here.
Right, so and again it will force the Park Soga to defend against these fearsome units, against these ephemeral units. So it will be interesting to see what's gonna happen here.
So Park Soga is just taking the value trade here, and no one is will be able to Surrender won't be able to defend his Hikarim, one copy of Hikarim against that attack.
Again, and it's gonna die anyways, going into the next turn. So Relentless Pursuit into an attack is definitely on the way, but making that killing off that Hikarim is totally fine. As you mentioned, the value trade here coming down. So now Cypria can just defend against that Radiant Guardian's lifesteal. You can even use that lifesteal of your own, right? The barrier as well. So it will be able to survive if needed as well. But I think you rather keep your Radiant Guardian alive over Cypria.
So Surrender Surrender just plans to kill the Radiant Guardian here with his 5-4, and I think Park Soga will be just defending his 6-3 using his lifesteal here.
The Hikarim upgrade coming down, it will provide the plus attacks to all the minions here, which could be quite impactful. And we see that Park Soga is just hovering over that obelisk guy to see how the combat phase is going, and then decide his defenders based on that. And it seems like so far he's still dying. So he'll have to commit another blocker here.
So I think he have to commit that Cytheria here somehow.
Also really good play from Surrender, baiting that, challenging that lifesteal minion first before pushing the damage. It will ensure that there is minimal lifesteal coming from the Radiant Guardian. So really good heads up play from Surrender.
Agreed. So we can even see the call coming. I think what play Park Soga have now is to give barrier to his one of own minions, just to get that extra sort of lifesteal he can gain and to survive.
Indeed, and that will again allow him to survive quite easily. So what do you think about not blocking that Mishwraith? He could have blocked that Mishwraith with the 8-3 to ensure it dies. Again, it does not have ephemeral, so I think killing off that unit could have been helpful, right?
Do you think that positioning was quite misplaced there? He could have challenged in the last position, and then the Radiant Guardian won't have healed him, and Surrender would have lethal that turn.
How would Surrender would have lethal that turn? He was
like that 5 healing that
the Radiant Guardian, right?
Yeah.
He challenged it on the left because the opponent is already at 19 HP. So even if that attack goes through, he's only healing for 1 HP, right?
okay makes
So
sense.
yeah,
Again,
that's
not lethal, but
yeah. So he basically made the best use out of that challenger by usually, as you mentioned, we want to challenge it on the far right side, but since the opponent was at max health anyways, I think it's better to just take that healing on the leftmost side. Alright, we see a Hecarim and a Spider Queen at least in the hand. So that Hecarim is really strong option in the next turn.
So in the value game, I think Surrender is quite ahead now because of that rally plus harrowing play last turn.
That play, that read, we mentioned how he was planning for that turn for like turn 7 as well. So really good reads coming out from Surrender there. Knowing his win condition in this matchup is definitely helpful. And we see there is only a massively Purify in the hands of Park Soga, and he's in some deep trouble here. He needed a good top deck there. Purify is not that good top deck.
So Purify, what he can do with Purify, he can just silence one challenger, but it won't be enough to save him from the open attack next turn. So let's see what he does here. Yeah, he's just passing you.
I mean, next turn the attack is on Park Soga, but again, even those challenges being able to kill off that 7-2 and a 6-1, that amount of value you just cannot come back from.
Yeah, so do you think he will block the 4-4 with his Cytheria? Okay, so Cytheria is being challenged, so he can only block the 4-4 with his 3-2.
And he has to do that, otherwise he's just dying here. And we Surrender is looking quite happy here. Look at his cards in his backup, right? He has Spider Queen Elise and Hecarim, two of the most important cards in this deck as well. And that Hecarim alone is just gonna be enough to kill off. And oh my god, single combat is one of the best cards when you have board control, but without any minions on the board, it is garbage.
Yeah, so Surrender will be just taking this game in his pocket, and not just only just this game, Surrender will be taking the siege in his hand with the score of 3-0.
Indeed. As soon as this open attack comes down, there is nothing that Park Soga can do except watch his demise. And we see Surrender being able to whitewash Park Soga here. We saw one whitewash in yesterday's series, but today Surrender, first player to whitewash here. Really good plays coming out. Just, I think, pitch perfect plays from Surrender.
What a dominant gameplay from Surrender coming in the first game, second game, and the third game. Like, just a whitewash here.
Indeed, and that is gonna be the third series between Park Soga and Surrender. Surrender takes the win 3-0. We'll be back with the last series of today, the fourth series. It will be interesting just like this. I'm really hoping it goes to game 5, so we'll have more actions. But again, if you guys are interested in playing competitive Runeterra after watching these amazing players, make sure you guys join in. We have another community cup coming this weekend with a prize pool of 35,000. So if you are interested in that, make sure you guys join our WhatsApp and Discord groups that are in the description as well. So make sure you guys join us and the amazing community as well. Until then, we'll be right back with the fourth series of today. Stay tuned. Alright guys, we are back and it is again that elusive variant, the Zigzags variant of elusive against a very interesting combination of Noxus and PNZ. We see the Culling Strike in the mulligan here. So that is quite an interesting deck coming out.
So yeah, as we can see that so as we can say that Noxus have like quite good hand here, and no one is managed to drop the one drop. No hit. Yeah. Okay. So no idea.
Alright,
Okay.
the Blade Master or Blade Dancer, I don't know what it's called, but Blade Scout I believe, right?
Yeah, Blade Squad.
Yeah, so Blade Scout coming down. I think that is one of the most ideal turn one apart from that Omen Hawk. Again, Omen Hawk is extremely solid, especially if you have that Nevori Conspirator to bounce it back. But we see that it is just the Blade Scout coming down. Unfortunately, the attack token is not in the favor of that elusive deck player. So it will be interesting to see what's gonna happen here. There is an option to play the Thermal Weapon, indeed they just decide to throw it away. Thermal Weapon can be quite helpful here, but we see that it is just used to deal 1 damage to that Blade Scout.
So seeing his hand, he just wanted to remove that 1 mana to 1 there, just so that he won't take much initial early game damage.
And finally the Omen Hawk has come down as well. We see that it does connect to face for 1 damage. This is quite an interesting deck coming out from that PNZ and Noxus player though. We see that the couple copies of Culling Strike, we see an Arachnoid stun guy. Arachnoid
Horror.
I think that's the 3-2 with Fearsome. This one is different.
Okay, yeah, this one is Arachnoid.
But it is definitely a spider. That thing we can confirm,
Yeah.
right?
So we can see the jet coming down here.
And I think it will be met with that Culling Strike here. But actually that, I think 1 mana spell is the +1 and quick attack.
Actually that is recall here, so he can just recall the
Oh,
jet.
okay, yeah, so recalling is definitely an option here. And there is the Culling Strike, and as you mentioned again, it will be recalled off here. That is quite interesting. I haven't seen recall in this variant. What do you think about just hard playing that 1 mana recall spell
No,
there?
actually, I haven't seen that variant also, but that feels good because this deck relies on recalls and all stuff. So I think that's worth it. So I think the jet will be coming down again here.
Indeed, with all the copies of that recall, like another copy is still in hand, and I think we see that Culling Strike number 2 is also in hand. So that is quite a good tempo swings here coming back and forth. But again, if you recall Z, then you are also paying 3 mana to replay it here, right? So
Okay.
it's not that much of a tempo swing here. It's rather actually like you are spending more mana to replay it. But again, your unit does survive, so there is some merit in that.
So this time he just let it die.
And yeah, that is quite interesting. Why do you think that happened? Like, I think recalling it could have been a fine play, no?
Maybe it's saving that second copy of recall for something other than, because anyways he was not going to attack, having a attack token next turn for the jet to attack. So that deck wasn't going to do much on turn 6 because obviously of other removals and stuns. So that's why he just let the jet die.
And we see the hammer being dropped here. Now Jeweled Protector is also in the hand, and we see that it is just instantly played here, buffing up that Kinyu life played again. And then again, like one of the prime targets for any buff effects because of that life steal. But we see that quite an interesting hand here. There's just so much removal, so much stun, so much card draw here. You know, in that PNZ Noxus deck, it will be interesting to see how the elusive player will be able to navigate around it.
Okay, so do you think he will be just blocking the 1/1 using his Hammerdinger here?
There is some merit in doing that again, but they do run the twin disciplines, right? So if that can be buffed, used for that attack option, then you don't want your Hammer to die. So makes sense to just let it go. But you had that 1 mana spell to deal 1 damage as well, right?
Yeah.
So maybe there was merit in just baiting out the twin disciplines there.
So now I think what Hammerdinger player wants here is just to play multiple like 3 mana cost cards here, and just to summon some elusive 3/1s here just for countering the elusive pressure coming from the other player's side.
Indeed, and it's all about gonna be those elusive blockings, like how you navigate around those elusive units, how you manage to, ensure that they don't connect to your face. You're already down to 12 HP, this Hammer player. So any more damage could be extremely critical here. Get them in the range of those. Just you don't want to be in the situation where any one unit of one elusive unit is just able to defeat you. We see Progress Day coming down here, drawing another Hammer, which converts into that signature card, which is again that progressive day, right? And T-Hacks being played here, really good tempo swing coming down just on this turn 6 here, and the Hammer player is quite in a solid lead, I would say.
Turn 6, turn 5 Hammerdinger, following up with turn 6 T-Hacks is quite good. Also you have like handful of removals and handful of stuns, and also top taking the HDL here.
Indeed, but again, it's gonna be interesting to see how they are able to deal with those elusive units. Fortunately for the PNZ player, the Operand does not have as much refill. Like we see only one minion, and there is 2 copies of Deny. So Deny can be helpful, but again, like there's just too many removal spells for those Denies to answer.
Agreed. And also we have like some sort of stuns, unless the elusive player just open attacks in the next attack token here. Plus also he needs something to defend against Dig elusive plus T-Hacks this turn.
Indeed, just nothing that Green Glid Duo will come down definitely here. But apart from that, you would ideally have wanted to play something like Hatchling, right? But right now you just cannot do that. And we see that the 2 mana is being played here, and it will kill off any damaged unit, I believe.
Yeah, but I think Deny, we will see the Deny coming down here, and Hammerdinger player will be unable to like defend against the Deny here.
Indeed, and there is just nothing that both these players are just in a weird situation where one player is just providing threats, but they are just not enough, while the other player has so much removal here. And again, just no mana for Deny here. We see the player's visible expression there. He looks really upset. Seeing that second copy of that spell here, it will allow him to deal with the 5/4 who is damaged. There is some merit in recalling there, but I don't think it should be considered here. But again, as we see here, just no minion in hand. I think it is extremely important to basically convert that recall into a key new lifeblood. I think that is just worth in the situation that he is in.
Exactly. So that was extremely worth, because as we can see, like player 1 don't have any like any sort of refills for his hand, while player 2 have like a handful of resources, and he can just push value, plus he also have like Israel in hand to push more like damage and get some more removals here. So player 2 getting in lead right here, and the T-Hex coming down here.
Indeed, the T-Hex on the attack position will probably be met with 1/1 here.
So I think Omenok will be just defending against that 8/8 here, nothing else. And maybe he will, so he's open attacking with everything except of that upgraded Hammerdinger here.
Yeah, again, he's just not in threat of just letting these minions die. They will be coming down, they will be raining down essentially with that Hammerdinger. So definitely it's valid to just open attack with all those, just attack with all those machineries.
So anyways, that elusive is just taking that fair trade here against that 2/1 Green Glade. And we are pushing like 1 damage here to the face, so that's fine.
Indeed, we see that it's all about gonna be the resources, and the Hammer player has so many resources in his hand and a refill of resources as well in that progress there. So looking at the board stats and the cards in hand from both these players, it's clear that Hammer will probably just take out this win. We see an Omen Hawk top deck. That is not a card you want to see when you're running out of resources.
Yeah, I did. You want to see the Omen Hawk as early as possible, like turn 1, turn 2, except that you won't want like Omen Hawk after turn 4, like as a top deck. But it's quite bad in this situation actually.
Indeed, extremely unfortunate, and I think just playing that progress day here is totally fine. It will give you another T hex, to push for more damage here.
So actually that gives you that 7 drop instead because
oh, right, because
of
it is
yeah.
Right.
But still that 7 drop is like quite good because it have barrier here.
Indeed, and just nothing that the opponent can do here is just dropping the minions they can, and it's not gonna be enough. Look at this, double rummage in the hand. Not as useful this time, but it can still be fine. I think there is some merit in just beaming that Omen Hawk, so to ensure that when you play that T-Hex in attack position, your opponent has to defend with their valuable units.
Yeah, but I'm not sure he will be just open attacking because he's just so he don't even want to open attack next turn. He will be just setting up some sort of lethal or remove some minions. Then he will be just open attacking.
Indeed, there is no need to rush for the hammer player. He's ahead so much, and that chump from being drawn that will provide some discard footage, for that rummage. And we see that now that kill is on that 5-2. The jewel protector will go down here. Denial is probably gonna be the option here. Again, you want to ensure that you keep those minions alive. The value of this minions is extremely high because you do not have enough minions in your hand. So any single minion on the board is extremely important.
Also, Hammerdinger player can just use that Arcanite Sentry just to stun one unit here, just to
push even more damage.
Push even more damage because the stun unit will be unable to block or defend or defend that round. So yeah, I think that stun will be coming down here.
Indeed, and we see that Shadow Assassin drawing that Elixir of Will is again, like, you needed minions to play this turn. You needed something good, like I don't even know what good could be. Maybe another Shadow Assassin could be good, right? But that Elixir of Will just not cutting the deal here, and we see the stun coming down on that life plate.
Yeah, actually he don't want enemy to just gain that 2 life from after trading against that 8-2. So instead he want him to trade some big minion against that 8-2.
Indeed, that's a really good stun there coming down. He also still has the option to use the beam as well, and I think it is about time Israel will also level up here as soon as, if not with this, then maybe after the third progress day is cast. We see the Elixir finally being able to get decent value here. The beam is only dealing 4 damage, so that Shadow Assassin will survive. But again, I don't think that's enough. And we see that another machinery being dropped here with that hammer. Hammer is just providing so much value in this game. And uncontested hammer is able to do just this, just snowball the game to victory.
Agreed. So now that 5-2 machinery is also fearsome, so enemy won't be able to block using that 5-2. That one Omenok here. So that 5-2 will be pushing to the face here. So total damage will be like 9 damage to the face unless he decides to defend with that 3-1 elusive Shadow Assassin here.
I think there is some merit in defending the 5-2 with that 3-1, but he has decided to not do that, just letting it connect. Again, like, you need those minions to connect. That is your only win condition. You need to push those 5 damage over 2 turns, to try to win here. Maybe the Hatchling will be able to push enough damage, but that is a Z top deck. That is not a Hatchling. Hatchling actually was a decent out, for this elusive player. Hatchling could have been able to push enough damage there.
Yeah, but as Hammerdinger player top deck that Arcanite Sentry, even Hatchling wasn't enough to finish the game off here because of that stun coming down after the Hatchling turn.
Indeed, and that is just gonna be game, I believe. So much removal coming down. That has to be the upgrade on that Israel as well. Just so much removal, so much stun in this unique deck. I think this is the first time we are seeing this variant of PNZ deck here, the Heimer deck here. Definitely interesting to see that, and a bunch of machineries here. Definitely gonna play the highest stated one, because again, like, you don't want those stats ones here. And we see the opponent Z coming down, and there's just nothing that the Hammer player can do here. The board is full, that cannot play anything, but hey, they don't need to. I think an open attack this turn is just gonna secure them this win.
Exactly.
And there it is, just nothing that the Z elusive player can do. He's just gonna do his best to block that 8-2, but the attack now will resolve, and it will be the game 1 for the player that is sipping some liquid there. He will be able to take the win, and that was quite a decisive victory there for the Hammer player. That deck was just able to destroy everything in its path, and it will be interesting to see if we'll see any interesting unique decks from that player. For now, we'll be taking a short break. We'll be back with game 2 soon. All right, and we see Laughing Man down 0-1 here is now switching towards that Elise Shadow Isles deck here. While we see that Demacia Fiora deck coming down here, we still don't know if there is Shen in that Demacia deck. But again, as I mentioned multiple times now, that Demacia deck has been performing exceptionally well throughout these 2 days. Oh my god, that is a Radiant Guardian. We've seen that card being played, to extreme success, and that is in the hands now. So it will be interesting to see how this game goes. And Radiant Guardian again a Demacia card, so we know that it is the Shadow Isles plus Demacia deck.
Okay, so we can see that both players drawing their one copy of Radiant Guardian here. Then that card basically carries the mid game if another player is unable to take down the Radiant Guardian. So.
Alright, and the Elise coming down on turn 2. As we mentioned earlier, one of the better plays on turn 2 for most decks that run Elise, and it will be able to connect for 2. And we see that the Warchef is down, and I would not be surprised to see the Fiora come down this turn.
So yeah, Fiora is perfectly fine this turn, and only counter to Fiora is that Mark of Isles we can see in the Laughing Man's hand here.
Indeed, and he has decided to pass on, still saving the mana. I think ideally he wants to use that Mark of the Isles, and then I guess he won't be able to use the Redeemer though, right?
So he was basically playing mind games with the Chungwusen here, just to take that better trade here, just to kill off that Fiora, 100 with 100% success here.
Indeed, and it does die, and there is the Redeemer coming down here. So really good reads there from both these players. Laughing Man was able to make a really good play out of that situation, just saving that 1 mana and the Redeemer. Just playing it on turn 3 is something you want to do, because again it is a decent stated minion, but you kind of also want to make use of the effect that it provides.
So I think both the 2 drops will be the turn for Laughing Man here.
Also quite an interesting deck coming out from Chulmunsum here. We saw this Hatchling here being played, which is quite interesting. I think it just serves its purpose as a hand buff effect here, and we see the card that reduces the cost of units by 1 as well, and that was being played. And look at this, suddenly this hand is becoming extremely strong as we go into the late game, and if Chulmunsum is able to stabilize through this mid game, I think it will just take the win.
Yeah, exactly. So plus that Radiant Guardian being 4 mana and that Banner Man being 8 mana is like too insane. So we see the Elise coming down from the Laughing Man here.
Alright, and the Operand coming down here. Again, the Chulmunsum will be able to make some decent value trades here, but instead he has decided to block the Spider Mimic 2-4, but now he's reconsidering it. Playing fast is one of the mistakes that players can make, so it's definitely good to just take your time and think the turns through.
So I think he should better defend with that 2-2 here instead of that 2-4, because that 2-4 is more valuable for him, because 2-4 will be buffed to 3-5 next turn. But even but 2-4 is better stated compared to that 2-2, so that makes sense basically. But it's either way it's fine.
I guess what he wants to do is he wants to ensure that the 2-2 actually dies next turn. 2-2, dying will enable the Radiant Guardian to come online this turn, and that will be extremely good.
Okay, so what do you think will be? Will he be open attacking here? I think he will be. He will be just trying to set up his Radiant Guardian somehow here. So he's not afraid of like his 2-2 being dead here.
Indeed, and that Warchef dying actually is definitely helpful, because it will make the Radiant Guardian come online with that tough one, with that lifesteal, and it will be able to stabilize quite decently. But we see that opponent also has a Radiant Guardian that they will be playing here, so it is gonna be a fight of Radiant Guardian. But we see that the buff card, the Hatchling, actually coming down on turn 6, a turn earlier than usual. That might be enough to turn the tides of this game here.
Exactly. But I don't think he will be playing it on turn 6, because all the cards say he's attacking on turn like odd turns, so I don't think these even costed cards will be helping that much. Even if he have decreased the cost by 2, then it would have been like insane, but with it's just too confusing. it won't have be.
Yeah, so on defense, like you don't want to, buff up your minions just for
exactly.
defense. Like maybe I think there is another play. What if you just play the Fiora and the Protege, let the Radiant Guardian connect, while defend against the other with your own Radiant Guardian to still stabilize. I think it's fine even just taking this 5 damage here to develop your board even further, because once that hatchling comes down, all those challenges, they will be extremely high stated and they will be able to make those value trades.
So what he can do here is he can just block with his own Radiant Guardian here, and in case if enemy buffs his Radiant Guardian, then he can just recall it.
Indeed, so some really good plays coming out from Chulmunsum here. We saw how he was able to pilot that unique PNZ Noxious deck, and now he's coming here with this unique deck on this Demacia and Ionia variant. So really interesting to see good plays combined with good gameplay.
So I think Laughing Man will be just dropping that 2 mana magistrate here.
Instead,
okay. So
that is, I mean, again, like just playing this to resummon that Radiant Guardian definitely makes sense.
Exactly.
But this Fiora should probably come down here. Now he has the option to actually use that Wheel of Ionia as well, to throw it back and ensure that it is not there to defend going into the next turn. And indeed, that is what he has decided to do.
So playing Fiora was quite risky there because of that black spear in the enemy's head, in a Laughing Man's hand. So that's why I think he went with the recall play here.
But that black spear coming down will deal with that Radiant Guardian. So the prime source for healing is now gone. But I think now the Chulmunsum definitely has the board advantage and they should be able to capitalize on it. Once that 8 mana card comes down, there is just nothing that can be used to deal with it, because it will provide life steal on play and on attack turns. So that is extremely strong.
Not life steal, barrier.
Yeah, my bad. Barrier on everything. And now that Shen is here, Shen on this turn and then the Bright Shield Protector next turn will just destroy the opponent here.
Okay, so not playing Fiora that last turn that is specified that Chulmunsum has like quite a good rid of Laughing Man's hand here, like not playing again, like he exactly played around that black spear and he that went quite well with him. So,
but honestly, like I would rather have my Fiora get Black Spear over that Radiant Guardian in this situation, because like even the 5 heal, from 14 health can be quite helpful in this situation. But yeah, I mean that was definitely his plan to just ensure that Fiora comes down as late as possible to get as many kills of these small minions and maybe try to win with that.
Exactly.
See the Shen being dropped here. I think they are just looking to give the barrier to the 1/4, which will allow it to clear all the 3/1 quite easily. But we see the Glimpse Beyond in the hand, and I think Laughing Man will be looking to just use that to on that Redeemer, just to get the draw off.
Yeah, exactly. It's quite worth it actually. So considering that play, so he's not attacking with it anymore, but I guess he's changing his minds now.
And again, he just decided to kill it off with the 1/4, because again, if Shen was defended with something like Mark of the Isles, you don't want that to happen because you don't have any combat tricks. So this play definitely makes sense. And again, the response from Laughing Man is still the same. The Glimpse Beyond on the Redeemer.
Yeah. So he's just trying 2 cards here, and that Rekindle top deck and the second copy of Radiant Guardian. That's like too much resource generation in the hand, and like the Kindred will be giving him like what champion he lost? Elise. Okay.
Yeah.
So Rekindle will be just summoning Elise. So instead, I think playing those Radiant Guardian will be the play here, I think, after the open attack.
Indeed, but again, like maybe you can go for Mist Wraith and then open attack, but I think, as you mentioned, I think going for open attack here is definitely better here. We'll see that now it will be interesting to see what Chulmunsum does actually, because he has the option to play either the Hatchling or the Protector. Now personally, I'm a huge fan of playing Protector right away, like even on defense, you can give that barrier to everything, and Shen will level up as well with that. So that is quite a good play coming out from Chulmunsum this turn.
So not seeing that not open attack not coming in, not this barrier, this Protector play makes quite a sense now.
And look at this already. This board, you see, Laughing Man still laughing, but it's definitely not looking good for him so far. But as you mentioned, like the refill is still there for Laughing Man. But how does he deal with this constant pressure, all these barriers coming down every turn?
So if he's not able to deal with that 59, which is currently 59, then it's just GG for the.
Indeed, and we see the hands, right? There is no option to deal with that. Maybe they have to go for a glimpse beyond this turn. But instead, they decided to just play that Radiant Guardian. That is quite interesting. So I don't assume that there is gonna be any attack coming down, and there is a pass from Laughing Man.
Also, the Radiant Guardian isn't active. She don't have top or lifesteal.
And with that hatchling coming, and the barrier will be provided by that Bright Shield Protector. I think that just spells game over this turn. But we see Atrocity in the hand, but unfortunately, it's just not enough in this situation. So I think Chulmunsung will be able to take game 2 quite easily here.
Yeah, so in this matchup, if you don't have any hard removal for that protector here, you just can't win after if enemy have like quite a decent board.
Indeed, and again, I think it was all about that Radiant Guardian, allowing Chulmunsung to get towards that late game where they can play these power turns, this Bright Shield Protector and the Hatchling coming down around turn 8 and 9. And I think, as you mentioned, once those late game threats come down, there is just nothing that any aggressive player can do unless they have something like the Ruination.
Exactly. So I don't think Laughing Man can do much here. Still, Chulmunsung is trying to set up as good attack as he can, so that just to not miss or just to play around some things.
Yeah, I think this is just lethal from those elusive units. Oh, never mind, it's just only 17 damage. But yeah, that is still decent damage coming up here.
Plus, Laughing Man will require to feed the attackers here with some of his units just to defend that some of his HP.
Indeed, and once this attack goes through, there's just nothing left for Laughing Man. And while Chulmunsung will have a board that was as threatening as when he had the board as well. So just that battle situation will be probably resolved in the game being over here. I think the game's decision has already been made. It's all about just fulfilling the things that you need to do. Both players should know that who is winning in this situation, but no reason to concede, when you are in a tournament setting.
Yeah. So I think it's just they're just waiting for the game to finish, but they're just having a read of all the cards on the enemy's hand. Nothing else.
Indeed, and we see the pass coming down here. Now the Bright Shield Protector will not be giving barriers this turn, but I think he already did his job, by the last turns. And we see that Laughing Man is already at 2 HP here.
Okay, so we see the Hikarim coming down here, but I don't think even if Hikarim gets the good value trade here, but okay, so we just see the recall coming here from the Chulmunsung's side, and Laughing Man won't be able to play Hikarim back again because he don't have enough follower mana here.
Indeed, maybe there was some merit to just using Atrocity, but I think he's relying on pushing as much damage as he can and maybe sneak out a win with that Atrocity. But seeing the hand that Chulmunsung has, I think there is just no reason that he will be able to do that.
Plus Chulmunsung, we can see that he have board full of minions. He didn't even require to use any of the extra mana to do anything except of that recall here. So I guess he's just waiting for his attack turn to just finish up the game here.
Indeed, and if an attack comes down, he will definitely just sacrifice one of, I guess, something to ensure that Radiant Guardian comes down, which will definitely just ensure that the game is over completely. But even if he doesn't do that, I think, I don't even think he wants to kill off any of his minions. Maybe the Shadow Assassin, but those elusive units will be able to push enough damage as well. So maybe there is some merit in not killing off anything here as well.
I can just take the value trades here using that 3-6 and 9-9 if he wants to.
Again, there is that threat of Mark of the Isles, but I don't think you play around that.
But Mark of the Isles is not enough to kill the 9-9, so yeah, he can still play that.
Yeah, the 9-9 definitely should be thrown to block here. And I would not be surprised to even see the 2-4s blocking those. Actually, they can't. So Yeah, the 3/6 as you mentioned is now
Exactly.
thrown to summon there. So he's pushing 8 damage here. What do you think about defending with the hatchling?
Uh, I don't think he should, but yeah, that Mark of Dials can push pressure for the lethal here, but I think he should just defend with the one of the copy of wrestling, because he have already two elusive here just to push the final lethal damage next for the next turn.
Indeed, and this also allows him to play that Radiant Guardian that we mentioned earlier. Like that coming online in this turn will be just enough to ensure that there is no lethal potential coming down. Even the Mark of the Isles plus Atrocity will not be enough to kill the Chulmunsum from 10 HP here. So an open attack here will just be game over.
Exactly.
And we see he's trying to sequence it properly to ensure that the buff is on that Shadow Assassin, so it gets a lot of attack there, and it does already enough to kill on her own. And we see there's just nothing that can be done, and this should be the last turn of this game.
Yeah, Laughing Man can do nothing here except waiting for the Nexus to die.
And there it is, the attack comes through, and Chomonsu manages to win another game with this unique tech on the Demacia midrange deck. It will be interesting to see how it goes next. 2-0 lead for Chomonsu over Laughing Man. We'll be back with game 3. Don't go anywhere. Alright, guys, we are back with what could be the potentially final game of the series and of the day here. We saw Cholmunsum able to win 2 games in a row with this unique decks. I'm really impressed by his play so far.
Yeah, agreed. So now I think we are kinda seeing a mirror matchup here, maybe. I'm not pretty sure, but
Gee, that is quite an interesting deck. We see Mist Call there in the hand here. And Elise coming down turn 2. That is definitely really strong. We see that it is not mirrored
okay,
because
yeah,
there is
not mirror because
yeah.
Freljord, yeah.
So he's playing that Shadow Isles and Freljord variant. It's gonna be interesting to see what they are playing. It could be that Anivia variant or like a late game focused variant with Hekarim as well. So it will be interesting to see what champions Cholmunsum is running. As we saw earlier, he's bringing those unique decks, bringing this unique oomph here in this tournament, and it's definitely working out for him.
So Laughing Man is just trying to get his trying to break in for his first win here, and So do you think Chung Mu-sing will defend with his 2-1 here just for the card draw?
Oh, I think he won't, because like turn 3 there is Frenzied Skitterer, right, which will allow it to be 3-1, and the Spiderling from opponent will not be able to defend against that, and that's gonna be really good.
So yeah, as I expected, he have like essay for the Fragile champion here.
Indeed, and so it could be that Ash's harrowing deck that we have seen recently popping up. Another Korean player, we discussed how they were able to go through a community cup with that deck, and it has gotten extremely popular since then. So again, it could be that Ash harrowing deck, which is definitely really fun to see, being executed by these good players.
So we saw the top deck of Ram Fangolf here by the Chung Mu-sung, and we can see that Laughing Man is able to draw his copy of Radiant Guardian here, and he already have the copy of Hekarim in his hand. So he's quite set for his turn 5 and turn 6 here.
Indeed, and the option to Black Spear here is that, but it will be met with the Glimpse Beyond, I believe. So Black Spear, I guess it does the same thing, but Laughing Man will be able to get the better situation out of it by drawing 2 more cards by sacrificing the Tilix.
Yeah. So
we see those 2 Frenzied Skater being drawn. Those are some really good cards, especially combined with the tokens such as those Spiderlings, So I think an open play of that Frenzied Skitterer will allow him to push a lot of damage this turn. But again, as we mentioned, this Skitterer dance that I am calling it now, the player that plays the Skitterer second is definitely a lot favored, because as we see, the opponent's Skitterer will also be affected by it. But instead, he has decided to just develop Ash here.
Yeah, I was quite sure he was going to develop his Ash here for the next turn set open attack here. Plus, also setting up his essay will give him so much value for the upcoming turns, because he have Rime Fangolf for the following up turn. So that was one of the regions. Plus, he also have 2 copies of Brittle Stills to follow up for the next turn.
Indeed, and that's definitely gonna be enough. But again, if the Mark of the Isles does come down, then they won't be able to use the second Brittle Steel, because the health will go to 6, right? So Brittle Steel only works on 3 HP, but now they just took that risk, just put their opponent in not having that Mark of the Isles, and they are able to get that really good trade here from Ash.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that Chung Mu-sung is keeping track of Laughing Man's hand, and he have quite a read of Laughing Man's hand. That's why he went with the open attack, open defend there, using that Brittle Steel, not considering that Mark of the Isles situation.
And that Radiant Guardian, we've talked about how it has been really impactful in these games. Will not have as much impact here, because most of the times it will just be frozen by the Ash.
So Laughing Man is quite in confusing situation here. He don't want to play his big minions here because of the combo. Chung Mu-sung is threatening him. So
and Ash, we don't know what it's gonna block. It says the strongest unit, but both Spiderlings are 1/1. So you ideally want to have the one that is at 0 health, 0 power, but well, it is 50-50. Let's see what connects here.
I think the one he challenged will win.
Okay, maybe that is a thing that is.
Actually, I think that will be because of the positioning thing. Positioning
right.
thing.
So that does make sense, and the Glimpse Beyond does come down again. No reason to not play that when you have mana and a minion dying here. Essentially ensures a free block while you draw 2 cards, and Spiderlings also prime targets for Glimpse Beyond.
Also, he will be able to play his Valiant Guardian here, Radiant Guardian here. So, but I think.
Do you even want to play it? I guess you do, but I don't think you feel good. At least in the next turn it will be able to heal you back to 20, but after that it's just gonna be the target for the Ash's freeze effects.
Yeah, exactly. But he will still be in a good situation. He just needs to kill that Rime Fangolf somehow. Maybe he should use that atrocity or something to kill that essay or Rime Fangolf.
I think that's paying too much respect towards those
exactly.
civilians. You rather develop that threatening Hekarim, especially considering the fact that you have Rekindler in your hand as well. So just dropping that Hekarim is definitely extremely helpful here. What do you think could be the play from Chul Munsum? Well, that's the answer. Yeah. The Skitter comes down. It will allow, I guess, not much, but at least it will reduce the attack coming down from Laughing Man.
So Skitter was only play from the Chung Mu-sung side here, because Rekindler was not able to summon anything here as far as I remember. So in that case, only Skitter was in play.
So
Or
there is an option to just let your Ash die here and use Mist Call if you want, but I mean, maybe you can like throw down your Ash and Glimpse Beyond on it and then Mist Call, but I'm not sure how much value you want from that, like, yeah, you draw two more cards, your Rekindler becomes online with that play, but it doesn't do much apart from that, but I still think that's the play from Chulmunsum here.
yeah, plus you also blocks like 3 damage here.
And he is deeply considering what he wants to do here. The play we discussed is quite tricky. We cannot even judge by looking at both players and if it is good or bad. So, being in the position of Chulmunsum, who does not have that complete knowledge of the opponent's cards in hand, and yeah, that's definitely a tricky situation.
So he will be brittle stealing that 3-2 ephemeral just to save his Ramfang Fear.
Indeed, and no Glimpse Beyond. I was mentioning like Glimpse Beyond is definitely completely free here essentially. So that is being cast. So he makes decent use of this turn here. Drawing 2 spells, but the Ash still has not died, so the Rekindler is still offline. We see the Harrowing coming down, so it is indeed that Ash Harrowing deck that we talked about multiple times so far.
So now that Chungmi Singh have that attack token, he can go just open attack and they just kill that 5/5 for the free here. Right, and I think that that's the best play here.
Indeed, and even if your Ash dies here, you kind of want it to die,
Exactly.
You can summon it back with Mist Call and Rekindler, and that's just gonna be insane tempo swing in favor of Chulmunsum, who is, well, still drinking something off of his cup.
I'm pretty sure that's coffee.
You think it's coffee?
Maybe.
Why not tea? Could be tea.
Okay.
Could be Red Bull.
Not in a cup.
Not in a cup indeed. And we see, but whatever it is, it is working out really well. He's been playing exceptionally with those. I'm just impressed by his deck choice selection here.
Exactly.
Like 3 unique decks that are kind of off meta. I mean, yeah, Ash Harrowing is coming into meta right now. Yeah.
Actually, I don't see. Yeah. So I don't see he's playing off meta decks. He's playing just a few of the meta decks with some of his own text and like uniqueness in the decks.
Indeed, his own spice in those decks, and it's definitely working out for him as we mentioned earlier. Again, this turn, as we mentioned, Rekindler is now online, Mist Call is online. The Harrowing will be able to summon a bunch of Ashes here, and that should be enough to push for lethal as soon as he feels comfortable doing that. Radiant Guardian has also died, so there is no source of healing in the in this game for Laughing Man anymore, unless he, of course, drop decks another Radiant Guardian. And we see Rekindler being dropped here. Ash will resummon, and Laughing Man, I think the game is just spelling out over for him in this step.
So we can see that he just resummoning his Hikarim just to give it like full health, plus enabling his Rekindler to summon a Hikarim copy next turn.
Indeed, and we see the Mist Call also coming down. Now 2 Ashes on the board, 1 has already died. So basically, if the Harrowing comes down, it will be summoning at least 3 Ashes. So, I mean, ideally you want more, but for now, even this is still fine. And we see quite an interesting hand. He has only turned 9 here. I mean, 9 mana being able to spend by both players. There is a bunch of options in the hand of Laughing Man, but none of them feel good here.
Actually, Laughing Man's hand is quite like fallout based, so that's he can't interact much with the board except for that atrocity. So he's just like open attacking here instead.
Indeed, that atrocity could be the surprise factor in this game. That combined with Mark of the Isles can burst down the opponent quite well. We forgot how the Ash player also does not have any lifesteal right now. So it could be interesting to see if that atrocity is able to do something crazy this game.
So yeah, Jungmin Singh is just defending against it as a like Ramping Wolf here. He just wants to save his Ramping Wolf because Ramping Wolf is like a combo card for the essay here, and now that essay is upgraded, next turn any frozen minions won't be able to block against Jungmin Singh's followers attacks.
Indeed, and it also like trades favorably here against that Hekarim. So really good plays coming out. Realizing that Ash will level up and clear off that Hekarim. Definitely good. But again, we see the Rekindler will definitely be the play from Laughing Man here.
Plus next turn, Jungmin Singh will be top decking that 2 mana frozen arrow card summoned in deck by the essay here.
Also, there is the option to just play that sentry and glimpse it to draw 3 more cards here, which could be extremely helpful in this situation, you know.
So even if like Laughing Man, even if he plays a bunch of minions here, like next turn, okay, so
Black Spear on that Ash is met with a glimpse beyond on that Ash, so it will die, but not before drawing 2 cards for Chilmunse.
So there's that arrow here, and another copy of harrowing here.
Oh boy, that is so strong here. I think next turn the harrowing will probably come down since there is the attack token, you know, in favor of Chulmunsum, and that's gonna be a lot of freeze effects, and there is just not enough minions on the side of Laughing Man.
Even if Laughing Man manages to play like a lot of minions here, that arrow will be like able to like freeze all the minions here, and harrowing in combo with the SA summons here, Laughing Man can't block with any of his minions, and it's a GG here.
Indeed, so he needs something like, I don't even know what he needs. Maybe that atrocity now I think is what we are looking for, but he does not have enough mana to cast both of them, and that's just gonna be the game over here. As soon as the 3 ashes are spawned, they will be able to block against any defender. I still think honestly.
So as we can see from Laughing Man's expressions here, he realizes that he can't do anything on his board now, because he knows that Chungmu Singh have that arrow in the hand. So and he have exactly 2 mana for that arrows and the attack token here to attack, and like Laughing Man basically can do nothing.
Indeed, he's gonna try his best. He might just drop that Frenzy Skitterer. Mind you, he's just 1 damage of lethal with that atrocity.
So
but again, that arrow like coming down, yeah, it will just freeze everything, and that's just lethal. It's all about letting this combat phase resolve here. Laughing Man is now realizing that none of his minions or units will be able to block. Takes a lean back on his chair and just waits for his eventual demise from this series. And Chulmunsum looking quite happy here. He's still looking to see if the opponent can pull off anything. I would like to mention, you know, if opponent had Mark of the Eyes and Atrocity, they were able to still kill off Chulmunsum here, because again those spells will resolve first before the freeze effect goes off. But again, not having that effect, there's just nothing that they can do. Actually, they can do one thing. They can Atrocity one of the ashes here. But again, yeah,
doesn't matter, because he still have enough, more than enough lethal here for the lethal here. Also, so that the turn when Chungmunsun set up that first assay there, that turn was quite crucial when you like questioned his play whether he
should have played
that or not.
And we see it going towards phase. He's just hoping for some miracle, but it still only deals 4 damage. You know, miracles do not help. Your hopes do not help there. It is all about those mathematical numbers, and we see that the math is in favor of Chulmunsum, who will be taking this win 3-0. Quite a convincing series from Chulmunsum here.
All of the 3 asses targeting that Skritter there.
Look at him there. Some actions coming out. Look at him. He's just so happy there.
He's just dancing there, sitting on a chair and like sipping of his tea or coffee or whatever.
Indeed.
Or the Red Bull in the cup.
Indeed. So the cup is definitely the MVP of that series, allowing Chulmunsum to take on that series 3-0 in this last series. Quite a quick one here, and that will be the end of this tournament broadcast from our side for this week. We will be back. I believe the next few rounds will be on 16th and 17th. So make sure you guys tune in for that. We also have a community cup coming with 35,000 prize pool open for all players of South Asia. So if you are on EU Shard, you know, make sure you guys play that, and we will be posting the links of that in our description as well. So make sure you guys join us, and see you guys on next stream. So till then, bye bye. This is Tirth signing off.
This is feNix signing off.